a little bit of a political storm over that, because some constituencies that are BJP constituencies were being given this, and constituencies of the opposition were not even being given. I mean, this is really, small petty politics being played during this time.
Exactly, that's what I've said. This whole response from the government, from the political setup, is politics is the cornerstone of their strategies, which should not be in a pandemic. A pandemic is a problem to be fought by everybody, not just by X, Y, and Z. So basically, from day one, if you remember, Devika, early into the pandemic, the narrative from the health minister and the chief minister and the health secretary was, oh, we are green zone, oh, we are 0 cases, oh, we are 0 deaths, but this situation would be coming, the peak would be coming in July and August, was something that was predicted by the scientific world way back in March.
Yes, that's true.
So instead of, raiding the infrastructure to tackle that huge problem that would come up in July and August, these guys were, praising themselves, happy with what they have done.
They were backpatting.
Exactly.
There was so much bravado. And if you remember, there was actually competition between the health minister and the chief minister to go on TV, on national television, and say that, we are doing really well. We've been doing so well that we have...
And now that the problem has hit us on the face, they are hiding.
Exactly. So that was what I was telling you last week, that rather than them coming out on the streets, it's the councillors
and the punchers and the lower level people
who had to deal with the public. Well, there was another announcement made by the Goa government, the Goa telecom policy, which is going to give an instant yes for mobile towers. So under this policy, service provider will not have to seek permission from local bodies for installing mobile towers. So if you recall, the chief minister had blamed the public for objecting to mobile towers, which he said was what was the problem with internet connectivity. But I still fail to understand how mobile towers really solves the problem.
It doesn't solve the problem, it doesn't solve the problem. I would like to point out something that was raised by the opposition leader Digambar Kamath a week ago. When he was the chief minister between 2007 and 2012, there was this company that was G-Wave that was given this huge 200 odd crore contract to lay underground fiber optic cables. And they did. So it's called the Goa Intranet.
It's called G-Wave.
G-Wave is the company name.
I see, okay.
But the network of optic fiber cables running across Goa is, I think, intranet. It's called intranet. It has multiple utility. It has telephonic waves. It has internet. You can even use it for broadcast. So basically, he was saying that the government should take over this infrastructure and use it in these times when digital communication is the way forward.
And of course, education.
Exactly.
Like we were just talking, how are classes being conducted? I'm still at sea about this. I have no idea, because people are still talking about children in the villages not being able to get. Now, actually, there was another story which I found very interesting. I think it was in your paper. It talked about these villagers in Mordelai having to queue up in Netravali village. And because the compulsory use of biometric machines is a bane since they work on internet, and Netravali's connection is abysmal. So people are queuing up for their rations, and the internet just doesn't work, and they cannot get it because they have to biometric fingerprint scanner needs the internet. But it happened to me today. I went to the electricity department because they said I have to come and pay 50 rupees because I made a complaint about my bill. And so for them to apparently accept the complaint and come to inspect your meter, you have to pay 50 rupees. So I said, can I pay it online? He said, no, madam, you have to come to the electricity office and pay with your card. So I said, okay. So when I went there, the person said we don't have a net is not working.
So your card you cannot pay with the card.
I cannot pay with the card. So I said, why don't you just take 50 rupees in cash? And he said, no, we are not allowed. So how do you resolve this? It's like catch-22 situation created by the government itself.
Yeah, this internet connectivity problems are something that are perennially faced in Goa. But this telecom policy that they are talking about, the title is very flowery.
Okay.
I don't know where the state government has a role in devising telecom policy. This is merely an administrative order.
Okay.
Which bypasses the panchayats and the local bodies and gives the government, which I think they are going to appoint the public works department, the PWD.
That's right.
To issue the permissions.
Yeah.
So basically, the norm is in the industrial estates.
Right.
In the industrial estates, the industries don't have to go to the panchayats.
Yeah.
They just go to the IDC, and the IDC collects all the fees of the panchayats and then transfers it to the panchayats. So basically, the panchayats are being eliminated from the decision making setup. It's
just
administrative.
I know everything.
An administrative order, but very flowery title of telecom infrastructure policy.
Actually, to divert a bit from these very heavy issues, I want to bring to your notice the story which a lot of television channels just went rushing after. Is this guy called Zenito Cardozo, a key conspirator in the Santa Cruz shootout in June. He surrendered before the Panji police station in the presence of his lawyer on Wednesday. He had been on the run for, he was
since the incident.
Yes, so between Goa, Maharashtra, Karnataka, he had recently filed for an anticipatory bail. So he's been on the. But is he such a big criminal as is being made out? Because before this, I never heard of him.
No, he's been in the news off and on for a long time, Devika.
Okay.
I remember doing a story where he threatened the son of former Chief Minister Sashikala Kahutkar, who had just got into the real estate business and had started a project in Santa Cruz, very close to the place where this Zenito lives. And he filed a complaint with the Old Goa police station, alleging that Zenito had demanded extortion or tried to extort 50 lakhs from him for that project.
I see.
So I remember in 2013, it was in 2013, he was detained under NSA by the state government at that time. And like all other NSA cases, in 3 months and 4 months, they just go scot-free.
Right. So here it says the Goa police had arrested him under the National Security Act in 2013. He was the main accused in the 2013 LPK waterfront attack case. Which case was that, LPK?
There was a vandalism in LPK when it just started in 2013.
That's one of those nightclubs.
Nightclubs, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was booked in several cases of murder, attempt to murder, assault, threatening and disturbing the public peace. But obviously, what kind of person is he? Is he educated? Is he not educated? He's a history sheeter. He's been untraceable and etc. It says here.
He's untraceable is a big question mark because he's visible all over the place. As far as his education is concerned, it is a bit fuzzy. We are not aware of what exactly are his educational qualifications. But he's been in the scene right from the time he was a 17-year-old.
I see.
So in 2013, when he was nabbed for that case on Siridam Beach, where there was a knife fight, it was an attempt to murder case. So he was 17 at that time. He was a delinquent. So he's like all other gangsters, they thrive on this public image of theirs.
Right. So he runs a gang called Bang Bang.
Bang Boys.
Bang Bang, apparently.
I did a piece 2 weeks ago in the Goan, where I spoke to a lot of these people, a lot of these former gangsters from Santa Cruz, to kind of get a picture of his actual operations. But they are a very small kind of a protection money kind of a system that they are in place.
Do they have political connections, or do they operate on their own?
Obviously they do.
Political connections.
Obviously they do have political connections, because these things don't work without political connections.
Okay.
You need the police to look the other way for all the things that you do. So obviously political connections are there.
But is he from Santa Cruz or is he from Merced?
He is from Santa Cruz.
So that's another thing I wanted to ask you. Why does Santa Cruz have this reputation for producing so many sort of, underworld types who have a very unsavory kind of reputation? Why exactly is that? Or is it just, a kind of exaggeration?
There's a lot of exaggeration also in all this stuff. In any of these underworld stories, there's a huge amount of exaggeration all over the place. Like, for example, if you take the stories of the Big Don from Bombay, Dawood Ibrahim, there's so much of exaggeration in a lot of stuff.
The other story, Ashley, is this decision of the government to drop 45,000 square meters from the IIT project land. This, I think, is in Sankeli.
Is in Sattari, in Guleli.
So this comes, I believe, under Vishwajit.
No, it's in his father's constituency, I think. It's Pratap Singh's constituency.
So there was a lot of objection from the villagers, who said that the land, there were a lot of temples, etc.
So
would
this
they be knocking down the temples, or it was just
no, the thing is, they have just earmarked this 10 lakh square meters.
Okay.
And I'm sure that the entire 10 lakh square meters has not been surveyed properly.
Okay.
Like its topography, what exists, what does not exist. That's a whole process. So you had this for the last 2 months. You had this group of villagers from Milauli. This is a small ward in that Guleli Panchayat.
Right.
Agitating, against this IIT, because a temple there that they revere. Was part of the land that was being given to the IIT. So now the government yesterday in its cabinet has approved, carving out those 45,000 square meters and dropping it from the land.
Actually, the other story that, is still sort of playing out in the public eye is the government's decision to bring the power line project in Maule and protected areas. Now you had this press conference where Nilesh Cabral has made this statement, and he says that it is meant to meet the state's future electricity requirements, which is completely dependent on the western and central grid. And 19,000 trees will be cut.
Only for the power line, 19,000. But you bring in those other two projects, the railway doubling of the railway line, and the widening of the NH4A highway, and the total number of trees crosses around 50,000.
Right. So Nilesh Cabral has been in the eye of a storm, not only over that, but of course about the power bills. And the waiver they gave, they announced on Wednesday, or was it on Tuesday, was just an eyewash, because literally it was only on the fixed charges. So at most you'll get only, say, 25 to 60 rupees rebate. But they've given a 50% waiver on use to I think to high-end consumers. So that means industry, etc., etc. And then I saw a statement from the Goa Chamber which said that they weren't happy even with that. You know, they want a complete waiver. They say that charge us only for what we have used, and we are under stress.
Yeah, because what happens is, Devika, the very formula of billing in power in the country is cross-subsidized, meaning industry and commercial consumers subsidize the non-commercial users. So basically, when the commercial connections are charged, commercial consumers are charged, they're charged on the basis of load, not on usage. There is more weightage to the load they take rather than how much of electricity they use. So the industry is demanding that be changed and changed to a utility charges. But Devika, coming back to these Maulem projects, I think it is ridiculous that the government goes ahead with plans they had made before this pandemic. Okay, the future requirements that they are talking of are based on certain assumptions that they have made of economic growth in the future.
Exactly. So their projections
have gone haywire with this pandemic, and there has been no rethink and replanning done. Without that, the National Wildlife Board has gone ahead and given the nod to these projects that were planned much before the pandemic came in. You know.
But I read a statement from the Union Minister for Forest, and he said that I've given you time to object, so don't make such a big noise. Let me see the objections, etc. But I don't know. I mean, knowing the government, they will
Devika, these objections, time for objections are something that is statutory. You have to give that. But as we have seen in the past, these objections just get swept under the carpet.
That's true.
Like none of the objections, like, any big project that has come in Goa has been objected to. What has happened in the end? The projects have gone ahead right from the time of the Konkan Railway. And then we had all these landslides and stuff like that, which the environmentalists were warning before the project started. And they had to spend so much more to take care of all these landslides in the Konkan region.
Well, so that is all we have time for, and we will close down now till next week. Thank you for watching.
I'm sure you are waiting anxiously for your results of the 10th standard and also anxiously wanting to know what you're going to do with your results. So today we will try and give you what are the options available in science for those of you who are thinking of going in for science. We have already done a program on arts and commerce, and now this is a program for students thinking about science. So what exactly is the main thing that you have to worry about? The main thing you have to worry about is, do you have the license from the Lord to do the plan that He has for you? You know, there's a beautiful passage in the Bible which says something like this: I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you, plans to give you hope and a future. Call on me and pray to me, and I will listen to you. Seek me, and you will find me. So the first important thing about choosing a career is go to the Lord. Ask Him what is His plan for you. And you will, if you pray in sincerity, He will definitely guide you. So what are the main things you have to choose while deciding upon your career? Should it be arts? Should it be commerce? Should it be science? What should it be? The basic two things after prayer is your interest and your abilities. What do I mean by that? It's just not enough to say, I'm interested in cricket, and the next moment you'll be a great cricketer. You need to be able to play cricket very well. So you need interest and abilities. Similarly, you can't say that I'm going to be the greatest swimmer in the world if you don't go to the pool and start swimming. So interest and abilities are the two important ingredients before you choose your stream. So in this case, if you really enjoy science, go for PCM or PCB, physics, chemistry, maths, or physics, chemistry, biology. So then what happens next? Having decided that, you go for the lowest in the cadre in terms of looking for careers is ITI. So if you go for the ITI trades, you can choose plumbing, electricity, water, etc., etc. There are carpenters, as you know very well. We cannot get a Goan carpenter in Goa. We have to rely on people from Jharkhand and Bihar, etc., etc. We cannot get a plumber. We cannot get a welder. We cannot get an electrician or a computer hardware person. Okay, so these are the trades that are very important, but there are no takers. So if you decide that you want to be in the engineering side and go for one of these trades, you can get it in the ITI sections. Okay, so that is the ITI trades in Goa. There are many things you can choose from in the ITI business. You can choose to be an electrician, an instrument mechanic, a mechanic for refrigeration and AC, electronic mechanic looking after your TVs and computers, etc., etc., a mechanic for motor vehicles, scooters, a wireman, and a mechanic for diesel engines. So besides the ITI, there is also what is known as the vocational side of the program. In Chogle College in Margao, they have quite a wide variety of choices to choose from, starting from contemporary dance to sound engineering to photography, multimedia and digital film, drawing and painting, and digital marketing. What you might ask is digital marketing. Well, you all know of Amazon.in. You also know of Flipkart. You know all these various shopping sites. They all the time are looking for people to advertise their product on the site. Okay, so digital marketing is promoting your product through the websites, through the computers, etc., etc. And today it has become a very, very big thing, particularly in view of the COVID-19. So digital marketing is not that difficult, and yet has got a lot of promise for jobs. What else do we have in vocational? You can also go to the government schemes where they have industrial management, computer software, fashion designing, and garment design. All right. So you see, there are varieties of things available in the vocational field. One of the most wonderful things that has happened in Goa is that if you go for catering and hospitality, after you finish your 12th in that program, you can straight away go to Goa University and opt to go for the BBA/MBA program. Can you imagine, with vocational, you can today do your MBA? So it's a 5-year integrated course, and all you have to do is do well in your vocational in catering, and you're straight away in Goa University at the BBA/MBA situation. Then we have the diploma programs. There are various varieties of diploma programs. Again, there are lots of polytechnics in Goa. In Panjim itself, we have one in Altin, and there are lots of other such polytechnics all spread all over Goa. So here you have the 4-year courses, the 3.5-year courses, and the 3-year courses. In the 4-year course, you can study automobiles. You can go for fabrication and erection. You can go for shipbuilding. As you know, Goa has got a huge shipbuilding operation, and Goa Shipyard is one of the biggest ship operators in the country today. So there are lots of scope of opportunities for jobs there. Then you can go for food technology. That's all about pickles and how to preserve foods, etc., etc. Then you have the 3-year courses, which are the production, construction, automation, fabrication, refrigeration and air conditioning. You have electronics, you have computer engineering, you have architectural assistantship, tool dyeing, civil engineering, instrumentation, mechanical, electrical, instrumental. So you have a variety of choices, and all you need is around 55-60%, and you can get into these programs. Okay. The advantage if you get a lower percentage and get into polytechnic is that after you finish your 3-year or 3.5 or 4-year program, you can then opt to get into engineering college, where you can get your BE degree and escape the first year of the 5-year program. So you see, there are advantages in that. So think about what is the best one for you, and I will tell you about what you can do besides polytechnic, ITI, and vocational. In PCM, you can choose to be an engineer, you can choose to be an architect, a pilot, you can go into the merchant navy, defense, and also think about becoming a scientist. We have the architectural college right here in Panjim. Okay, and you have to pass the NETA exam. A pilot's course today has become a little bit dicey because of the COVID situation, where many pilots are grounded because there are no flights taking place. However, it doesn't mean that that situation is going to be dead for long. We hope that in the new year, the pilots will be recruited again and they'll start flying all over the world. But it is important to know that to become a pilot, it needs a lot of money. Something in the region of 40 to 50 lakhs of rupees. The Udan Academy in UP, Indira Gandhi one, is one of the best for pilot training. So if you're thinking of a pilot, think of both the situation. You need maths and physics, but you also need to understand the cost implications. Then there is the defense, of course. In defense, as you know, that if you pass the 12th standard, you can join the academy in Pune, where you study, and then if you are successful, they take you to the military academy in Dehradun. Then you have the scientists. We are in bad need of scientists today. The way the world is moving, and moving so fast, that we need enough number of scientists in every possible field. So if you have that genius and a percentage over 85-90%, think about becoming a scientist for our country. Then you have the merchant navy. Okay, in a merchant navy there are two big jobs. One is the captain and one is the chief engineer. If you decide to go for the captainship, you have to do your BSc in Nautical Sciences and then on to Chanakya on the board the ship. If on the other hand you decide to be a chief engineer, you have it right here in Goa, where you can join the Indian Maritime Institute in Bogda, Marmagoa, or the Mary program in Bombay. So what about this thing called a licensed engineer? It's a very new thing, isn't it? Well, a licensed engineer is somebody who is called a licensed engineer in the aviation business, but is not really an engineer. How do I say that? Well, what happens here is if you go to Bangalore and go to the Aircraft Maintenance Institute in Aviation Academy in Bangalore, you can start becoming as a mechanic, then as a technician, then as an engineer in bits and pieces. So once you become a mechanic, you go for training in the aviation, in the various companies that offer this training, like Indigo or SpiceJet, etc., etc. So you then come back and become a technician, another 1 year of training. You come back and then do your engineering program. The big airlines take you in as an assistant engineer, and over a period of time they train you to look after a particular type of aircraft, a 380 or 777 or whatever. So once you learn the business of that particular aircraft, they send you to the manufacturers to learn about how to make sure that you have the capability of ensuring that when you sign that paper, the pilot can actually take the aircraft to fly. No pilot can take the aircraft to fly unless it is signed by a licensed engineer. So you can do that after you do this probably 7 to 10 years program as you gradually go up the line, and then you are called to be a licensed engineer. We have in New York today, in Emirates, a Goan person who has got 4 licenses and today is the general manager of the Emirates in New York. So you see, there are lots of opportunities for our people, provided they are prepared to work hard and go for it. Right, let's see what's available further. In PCB, physics, chemistry, biology, you can opt to be a scientist again. You can go for medicine. In medicine, there are 3 areas. There is the MBBS program, the BHMS program, and the Ayurveda program. Okay. Then you have dentistry, and you also have veterinary science. Now, in veterinary science, you look after animals. Now, where do you study that? Goa has got a wonderful arrangement with 2 colleges, one in Pondicherry and one in Maharashtra, where there are seats available especially for Goan students. So if you are thinking of veterinary science, please go to the veterinary department and check your possibility of doing that after the 12th, not before that. But you have to get good percentage marks to be able to get the opportunity to represent Goa in Pondicherry or in Pune. So what happens if you don't want any of those 4? Well, you can go for paramedics, you can go for nursing, you can go for biotechnology, you can go for public health, you can go for pharmacy, and you can go for forensics. What is paramedics? What is forensics? Well, I will show you in a bit what is paramedics, but let me just spend a little time on this forensics. Forensics, there are 2 areas. One, you can be a doctor in forensic science. That means after you do your MBBS, you can specialize in forensics. That is, as a doctor, you can determine whether that person died of natural causes, or was it a problem, or was it a suicide, or what was it. But there are other forensic sciences today. There are forensic sciences in computers, Why computers? Because there's such a lot of hacking taking place in the computer world that many companies employ forensic engineers to find out who is doing the hacking, how it is done, why it is done, and how they can make sure that their computer systems are protected. Forensics is also available in forgery documents. People forge signatures of people, and then there is a lot of investigation of whether this was actually a forgery or was it real, etc., etc. So there are many, many versions of forensic science. There is forensic science even in accounts. Today there is a lot of forging taking place through data on the computer. So you have to be very thoughtful about whether you like to do this as a possible career opportunity, because there are lots of opportunities available in this business. Pharmacy. Today, pharmacy, as you know, everybody is trying for a vaccine worldwide to control this COVID-19. Pharmacy is the place where you do all the research to find out the right medicine to cure COVID-19. So if you are thinking in those lines, think of joining the pharmacy college, then going in for your M.Pharm and doing that kind of thing. I was just telling you about paramedical sciences. So suppose you fail to get into your medicine. Well, the next best opportunity is get into physiotherapy or medical imaging or anesthesia, occupational therapy, or bachelor in optometry. As you might have seen in cricket matches or football matches, if somebody is injured very badly, somebody runs with a bag to the field to see what's happened. So that's a physiotherapist. He's the one who determines whether that is a very, very serious accident and requires a stretcher to go to the hospital, or whether he can fix it himself. Imaging is all about the various imaging facilities available in modern hospitals today. Okay, and anesthetics is, of course, the doctor will tell you how much of anesthesia you need to put in a patient to be able to complete the operation in good time. Occupational therapy is again where you have a serious accident and you have forgotten the art of walking or using your hands or your mouth, etc., etc. So this again is a very, very useful area to get into. It's called occupational therapy. And of course, optometry is all about your eyes, and where you can get into the various optical shops and help them get people seeing again. So these are all the options available in Goa at the Goa Medical College. All right. So what are the further options you have in science? You can do your BBA, which is then linked to the MBA. You can do your Bachelor in Computer Applications, BCA. Then you can do your BSc Electronics at St. Xavier's College in Mapsa. You can also go do your CA, a Chartered Accountant. Many, many science students have gone in for CA because they feel that that's a much better employment opportunity rather than just doing your graduation degree. And then there is IATA. What is IATA? International Air Transport Agency. They are the people that have courses online for something like 35 different courses where you can work in an aviation industry. You can work either at the airport, or you can work at the aviation headquarters. You can work in cargo. There are so many opportunities in IATA. So if you are thinking of IATA, the Dempo College in Panjim has got an IATA program, and you can think about joining them for that program. Are there any other opportunities? Yes. If you have done your BBA, you can then go for MBA, Master in Business Administration. So what is that? Well, basically in Goa, we have one of the best institutes in the country. They're called GIM, Goa Institute of Management, and they have 4 specialities to teach you. You can go for human resources, you can go for sales and marketing, you can go for finance, and you can go for data analytics. Many people understand sales and marketing, and they understand finance, but they always ask questions, what is human resources and what is data analytics? Well, basically, in every company there are people. You recruit people, you keep people in your company, you make sure they progress, they go up the ladder from ordinary technician, they one day become directors, etc., etc. So this is the job of a human resource person. He is also known as human resource manager or personnel manager, etc., etc. So what is his job? Basically, his job is to recruit people, make sure that they are well looked after once they join the company. They look after his performance, his promotions, his salary, his other things that needs to groom him to go for higher jobs, etc., etc. So human resource has got various branches. It has got the basic branch, which is all about looking after people in the canteens, etc., etc., housing, sports, etc. But then it goes to discussion with unions, etc., etc. So are there more options? Many, many more options. You can go for law. Okay, you can go for events management. Again, the Dempo College has got a very, very good program in events management. There are two varieties of programs. You can do a certificate program and you can do a postgraduate degree program in events, okay? So there are all those actuarial science. What is actuarial science? Actuarial science basically is all about insurance. This is the top job in a company. So if you study actuarial science, and you must be very, very good in maths, if you do that, you will definitely be, as they say, in the corner office, because you are the one who will decide at what level, what kind of insurance policies will bring profitability to the company. We have, as you know, a huge population in our country. 1.2 billion people, and there are different levels of people. The very basic, what we now know as the migrant labor, then the unskilled, skilled, semi-skilled, the white-collar workers, the officers, supervisors, managers, general managers, etc., etc. At each level, there are different types of policies available, and it is this guy who does the planning of what is the good thing to be done. You can also go for journalism. Now you will say, why journalism? Do you know that if you have taken science as your specialty, there are such a lot of things to tell people over the TV or the newspapers in science. People need to know what is happening in the nuclear world, need to know what's happening in the technological world, need to know what's happening in the robotic world, artificial intelligence world, etc., etc. So if you go for journalism, you as a science person can educate people in things that are happening in the science world. Okay, so what about computers and electronics? I don't have to tell you what is happening in the computer world. The computer world is flourishing, and every day there are new things happening there. Okay, today what we can do on the ordinary phone, the smartphone, is unheard of just 5 years ago. Okay, today we can do our emails, we can do our taking appointments with doctors, we can do all sorts of things with our smartphone. You can be a teacher. Now teachers are very, very valuable people in our country, because if you want to go for science, you need a good teacher. So if you are a good teacher, then you will be able to teach well and move on with what is happening in the right field. Are there any more options? Of course, there is agriculture. Today, Don Bosco's has started an agriculture college in this thing. You also know that what happened when we had a lockdown in Goa. We couldn't get vegetables. Why? Because most of our vegetables come from Belgaum and other places. And this is supposed to be an agricultural economy, Goa. Yet we don't have enough vegetables for our own consumption. So think of agriculture as a very, very important avenue, not only to help our people, but also to make a lot of money. So what I'm saying to you now is that there are a lot of options available, and unless you look at these options well, you are going to lose out. There is the game designing, there's botany, there's food management, there's sound engineering. All sorts of things are available if you really want to take things seriously. Now, many students are complaining that, oh, there is no school, there is no activity, what's happening, etc., etc. Please know that there are online courses, virtually either free or very cheap, where you can go and study what you are thinking of doing in your future. So suppose you are thinking of becoming a computer person and you want to learn coding, go to the various courses as shown there, right there. There are more than 10 varieties of programs available with Udemy, Coursera, Khan, Allison, etc., etc. Please go to these courses, learn them, because once you put them on your biodata, the employer asks you, when did you do these courses? And if you say to them you did it during the time the COVID was on and there was a lockdown, they will be very impressed with your CV. That means you actually took a lot of time and effort to do studies on your own. Think about this. This is a very, very golden opportunity to take your lessons free online on these various programs that are available to you. Nowadays, jobs are going to get more and more difficult. So what do you have to do? Think possibly of getting into business. Goa is very, very fortunate. They've got lots of programs available on helping you to start your own business. EDC, the Economic Development Corporation, is offering as much as 22 lakhs of rupees if you want to start your own business. So think about business as an opportunity, because business is something that is very, very important now, because jobs are scarce, and there are golden opportunities in computers, in the digital marketing, in catering, in fitness gyms, in apps and animation. As you know, the government of India has stopped 59 apps from China. So where are the people going to use those, find those apps in India? You have to develop them. It's not impossible. Our managers and chief executives are running huge businesses worldwide. So why not we in Goa? Why can't we do something and say that, yes, I have done something special for our country? Think about all these opportunities, and definitely you will do well. Now, if you want to know more about what I have spoken about, go to our program, Choose Career Smartly. It elaborates all the things I spoke about, and you will get to know much more about it. Then there are also careers websites called careers360.com, and there's the government one called NCS. Look in these careers, study them, read them carefully, see where you can study, do whatever research you have to do to find out more. Google today is giving you lots of information on so many things. All you have to do is take the trouble to find out more and get on with it. All right? Let me just give you a small little warning. Many students, I have noticed in Goa, think that having passed the 10th standard and the next board exam is only in the 12th, that 11th standard is a picnic. It is not a picnic. 11th standard is very, very important, and you have to do well to continue to do well in the 12th. If you go down in the 11th, you will find that your percentage, which was say 80% in the 10th standard, has gone down to 60%, and therefore in the 12th you will not get more than 55. So be very careful. Don't waste this opportunity saying that, oh, 11th standard there's no board exam, there's no problem, nothing to do. It is got to do. So I wish you well. I thank you for listening to us. There is no substitute to hard work. Keep focused. You can do it, and know your ability. And remember what I told you right at the start. At the start I said you did. It's not only the interest, it's your ability. God bless you. All the best.
the third day, God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, and trees that bear fruit, according to their various kinds." And it was so. And God saw that it was good.
ऑन द थर्ड डे ह्या कार्यक्रमांक तुमकां उणवणीत येवकार. गेले कांय फावटी तुमी झाडां कशीं रोवचीं, तांची संख्या कशी वाडोवची, मल्टिप्लिकेशन ऑफ प्लांट्स, नर्सरी टॅक्निक्स, तांची वाड बरी जावची, बेगीन जावची, आनी ह्या विशयांचेर तुमकां म्हायती मेवली आसतली. पूण झाडां वाडूनच जायना, तांकां कीड आनी रोग जायना जावपाक आनी हेर तरेची पेस्ट पिडा लागोना जावपाक कांय उपाय घेवंक जाय. आतांच्या काळार जाय तशे शेतकार वो चडशे शेतकार म्हणूंक जाता रासायनीक वो सिंथेटीक कॅमिकल्स वापरून तातूंत जायती विकारी वस्तू आसतात आनी हातूंतल्यान वायट जावंक शकता. आमच्या फुड्यान बसलेले आयज एक शेतकार बाब जोकीन डसुजा, जे खूब त्रास काडून शेती करतात आनी ते कॅमिकल पेस्टिसायड बी वापरिनात. बाब जोकी, तुमकां ह्या कार्यक्रमांक उणवणीत येवकार. बरें बाब जोकी, हांवें आयकलां की तुमी खंयचेच पेस्टिसायड वापरिनात म्हूण. सारें थोडे वापरतात पूण पेस्टिसायड वापरिनात. हें कित्याक तुमी हीं वखदां वापरिनात?
एक म्हणजे म्हाका दिसता की हीं वखदांचे आनी आमचे दुयेंसां आसा तांकां व्हडलोसो संबंद आसा. आतां आयज पळोवंक गेल्यार डायबिटीस आनी कॅन्सर इतली वाडलेली आसा. एक फावट म्हाजे रिपोर्टार आयकल्लें की 200% पासून इतली वाडल्या म्हणून ती दुयेंसां. म्हाका कितें सांगता की तुमी तुमचे रोवन तर भाजी काडशा, एक 10% तुमच्या जेवणाचे भाजी हाडटा ती भायली 10% रिड्यूस केल्यार तुमचो रोग आनी दुयेंसां बद्दल 10% कमी जावंक शकता. तशेंच तुमच्यांनी थोडे थोडे वाडयले काय ना, तसोय रोग आनी दुयेंसां कमी जावंक शकता. ताका लागून आनी हेल्दी जेवण तुमकां मेळोंक शकता. हें अशें दिसता म्हाका आमचे रासायनीक वखदां आसा, पेस्टिसायड जे आमी म्हणटा, ताजे भितर आनी दुयेंसां आनी रोगा भितर भरपूर संबंद आसा. आनी हेकाच लागून आमी ती कमी करच्या, आमी कॅमिकल्स कमी करचे आमच्या वेजिटेबलचेर जावं फ्रुटांचेर. आमचो रोग आनी दुयेंसां जशी डायबिटीस आनी कॅन्सर होय बरोच कमी जावंक शकता.
बरें बाब जोकी, खरेंच तुवें सारकें सांगलें. हांव म्हज्या इश्टां लागीं धारवाड सायडीक, कर्नाटकान, महाराष्ट्रान उलयलां पळय तेन्ना ते सांगताले की आतां कमर्शियल एग्रीकल्चर म्हणजे बिजनस नदरेन एग्रीकल्चर करता, शेती करतात पळय ती, तातूंत खूब सारें आनी खूब वखदां वापरतात. तर हांव भासाभास करतना तांकां विचारलें, हे शेतकाराक खबर ना की हीं वखदां जीं वापरतात तांकां माल जातली म्हूण, वायट पडटली म्हूण. पूण ते कितें सांगताले की शेतकार सांगताले की आपूण घरा पुरती एक ल्हानसो कुशीन प्लॉट तांचो आसता आनी कमर्शियल विक्रेक दुसरे भाशेन ताची लागवड करतात. म्हणटकूच तूं जें म्हणटाय खरेंच म्हत्वाचें की वखदां आतां आमच्या भाजयेनी बी खूब जाल्लीं आहा आनी हाका एकूच उपाय म्हणटा पळय ते आमीच आमची भाजी जाता तितली लावची, गोंयान भाजी लावची आनी घरांनी आनी पोरसांनी भाजी रावची. बरें, तर वखदां कमी करपाक कांय उपाय आसात. तुवें कांय उपाय हातले म्हणटा पळय ते जाती, भाजयेच्यो जाती विचून काडलेल्यो आहा. आतां हांव आयकता ते प्रमाणे तुवें टोमाटांक आर्का रक्षक म्हूण एक जात विचून काडली. तुजे हे जाती विशीं कितें सांगपाचें आहा?
ही टोमॅटोची जात हांव पयलीं खूब सर्च पळयतालो, खंयची जात म्हाका शेतांत रोवन बरी टोमॅटो मेवता तशी पळयतालो. म्हणटा हांवें आमच्या आयसीआरा कडेन कॉन्टेक्ट केलो आनी आमचो एक डॉक्टर तंगा म्हणून सायंटिस्ट आसलो. ताणें फर्स्ट टायम म्हाका दिली आनी सांगलें ही ट्राय कर म्हणून. हांवें फर्स्ट टायम थोडीच रोयलेली, अबावट 10-15 रोयलेली आनी अशें दिसलें म्हाका दे हॅव रियल पोटेन्शियल. बरी जावंक ना ती पूण म्हाका दिसलें ताका बरें पोटेन्शियल आसा. मागीर हांवें आत्मा म्हणून आमची संस्था आसा गोवा गव्हर्मेंटाची, तेजे कडेन कॉन्टेक्ट केलो आनी तांकां सांगली ती जाता जाल्यार बी हाड म्हणून. जेन्ना तांणी हाडले आनी हांवें अरावंड अबावट 200 प्लांट्स लायली. अशें दिसलें म्हाका त्याचे 200 प्लांट्स मोर दॅन 300 हांवें हार्वेस्ट केले. आनी एका प्लांटाचेर हांवें एकाच झाडाचेर अशें हांवें ताका हें दवरलेलें टॅगिंग दवरलेलें. हांवें 11.6 एका झाडाचेर आनी दुसरे अरावंड 10 kgs ह्या दोन झाडांची एवरेज काडून अरावंड 10 kgs हांवें टोमॅटो काडली. म्हणजे 10 kgs एका झाडाक जायत आमकां जाल्यार म्हाका दिसना गोंयांत टोमॅटो पासून लावपाक कांय लुकसाण हाडचें ना.
म्हणटूच हे जातीक कांय रोग जावंक ना, बावपाचो रोग वो पानांक टिपके पडटा पळय तसलो रोग जावंक ना तर.
गडे म्हाजें फर्स्ट इयरूच आसलें वो सेकंड इयर आसलें ताका लागून गडे तो रोग इतलो येवंक नासत. पूण ओवरऑल पळोवंक गेल्यार विल्ट म्हणटा ती बावा नासली ती ताका खंयचे हांवें रोग पळोवंक ना. ताजें टोमॅटो इतलें हार्ड आसलें की म्हाका दिसता ती 10 दीस तरी कांयच तुका इजी उरतालें. आनी कंपेरेबल तूं बेलगांव येता आनी आमची गोंयांत काडली कांय डिफरन्सूच पडना जालें. सेम टू सेम टोमॅटो आसलें. ताका लागून म्हाका दिसता ही वरायटी आसा ती आमी हें करूं येता, म्हणजे लोकां कडेन दिवं येता चड आनी चड हें रोवपाक.
बरें.
व्हेरी सुटेबल वरायटी फॉर गो ऑल्सो.
बरें. म्हणटूच हाका खूब तरेचे रोग जायना म्हूण हांवें वाचलेलें. म्हणटकूच तुवें सोदून काडली आनी लायली ते एकदम बरी गजाल. बरें, भेंड्यांक एक मुखेली रोग हा पळय तो भेंड्याची पानां सारकी ओल्ड गांवठी भेंड्यांक स्पेशली म्हणपाक की हे धवे भेंडे म्हूण हो रोग जायना पळय तसली जात बी तुवें रोयलेली?
हांवें रोवंक ना, पूण हांव कितें करतां, हांव म्हाजीच बियो सेल्फ पॉलिनेट करता. तितूंतली लास्ट एंडाक आमचो लोक चडसो बी पयलीं काडटा. आमचे लोक भेंडे रोयता ते पयल्यो काडटा बियो. हांव पयल्यो काडिना. हांव जेन्ना सगळीं झाडां हें जाता आनी तितूंतल्यो खंयचे 2-3 उरता लास्टाक ताका हांव सेल्फ पॉलिनेशन करता. कितें करता, ते सांजचो आदले दिसा फुलचो आसा ते आदले दिसा ताका बॅगिंग करता आनी दुसरे सकाळीं वा दुसरे सांजे तो मागीर ओपन करता. एक पाट पॉलिनेशन जालें तुका सेल्फ मेळटा. अशें करून म्हाका कडेन दिसता म्हाज्यो रेजिस्टंट तरी रेजिस्टंट म्हणून हांव टॉलरंट तरी जाती म्हाका कडेन येयल्ल्यो आसा.
टॉलरंट जाती म्हणजे हो रोग जो आहा चड लुसकोण करूंक पावना. बरें. JK62 म्हूण तुवें भेंड्याची जात लायिल्ली आसा?
हय.
ताका रोग लागलो?
ना
ना.
सांगपाचें म्हणल्यार JK62 आसा म्हाज्या हिसपान तरी एकदम बरी. खुबशे ताका एडिशनल प्लस पॉयंटूय आसा. आतां एक म्हणजे जेन्ना हांवें ती लायली प्रोफ्यूज बॅरिंग आसता, भरपूर बॅरिंग म्हणजे खुबशे फ्रूट ताका लागता आनी डेली काडचें पडटा. इवन केन्नाय सांजचें काडूनय सकाळीं काडली जाल्यार परत सांजचेंय काडचें पडटा. इतली ताका हें आसा पोटेन्शियल आसा बॅरिंग करपाची. तेज्या उपरांत हांवें तितून आनी एक हें ऑब्जर्व केलो. म्हाज्या शेतान फ्लडींग येयलें आनी 1 फूटभर उदक उरलें ऑलमोस्ट फॉर 10 days. पूण म्हाका तेजें कांयच लुकसाण जावंक ना. परत ते तशेंच दिताले, तशेंच भेंडे दिताले. हो तेजो एडिशनल कॅरेक्टर. दुसरे रोग आनी कीड म्हाका कांय दिसना ताका रोग आनी कीड. मागीर फकत म्हाका दिसता आफ्टर रेनी सिजन एक ब्रावन प्लांट लीफ हॉपर येवंक शकता. हेजे थोडे उपाय हांवें अजून ट्राय करूंक ना, पूण फुडले करपाचे आसा. स्टिकी ट्रॅप सारके जावं नीम बेस्ड पेस्टिसायड, नीम बेस्ड इट इज ऑर्गॅनिक, हें हांव ट्राय करतलो.
बरें. म्हणटच तुमी रोग प्रतिकारक शक्ती म्हणजे रेजिस्टन्स ऑर टॉलरन्स टू डिजीज हे तरेच्यो जातीचो उपेग करता. बरें. तुमी म्हणलें स्टिकी ट्रॅप्स. आतां कांय वेळार आमच्या झाडांचेर रोस चिवपी किडी येतात. ताका मिलीबाग्स म्हणटात, म्हणजे कापूसको आसता, वायट फ्लाय म्हूण आसता. ह्या दिसांनी एकदम चड आहा. मागीर ते तुवें लीफ हॉपर म्हणल्या पळय ते तुडतुडे ल्हान बारीक तोळ कशे. हांकां एक सोंपो उपाय म्हणटा वखद वापरी नासतना हे स्टिकी ट्रॅप्स. हे व्हडले कांय न्ही. 2 तरेचे आहा, हळडव्या रंगाचे आहा आनी निळ्या रंगाचे आहा. दोनूय सायडींनी तांकां पेपर एक पेपर आहा आनी हे पाकीट आहा हांगा. हे आमच्या प्लॉटार उमकावपाचें आनी ह्या हाका त्रिप्स म्हणटा पळय ती जात ओडून येता आनी ह्या हळडव्या रंगाक बाम, मागीर वायट फ्लायज, मिलीबाग्स आनी हॉपर म्हणटा पळय ते तुडतुडे तांकां ह्या व्हडव्या रंगाचो उद्रेक आहा एक एट्रॅक्शन कशें आहा आनी ते येवन ह्या कागदाचेर अशे बसतात आनी हे पांकीट म्हणटकूच ताका दसून उरतात आनी अशें करून तांची संख्या कमी जाता म्हणटच हे स्टिकी ट्रॅप म्हणटा पळय ते दोन तरेचे आहा हे रेग्युलर टायप आनी हो ल्हान आहा पळय तो इकॉनॉमी टायप ताचो आमी जाता तितलो फायदो करूंक जाय बाब जोकी हांव रावतां की तुमी ह्या सिजनान हे हांचो फायदो करतले आनी तुमचें पीक आनीक बरें करतले म्हूण बरें नोंदणेचे बाबतीन बाब जोकीन तुमी कितें करतात
नोंदणीचे बाबतींत हांव सद्याक कल्चरींग करून हांव ते हें करता विडींग मदीं एकूच पाट विडींग करता नाजाल्यार चडशें ते डिगींग करता लायट डिगींग करता आनी तेजे यू कॅन टेक केअर ऑफ इट बिकॉज एक म्हणजे सांगपाचें म्हणल्यार परत परत तूं कल्टिवेट केलें न्हू आतां आमी कितें करता वर्साक एकूच पाट कल्टिवेशन केलें जाल्यार वीड कंट्रोल करपाक डिफिकल्ट जाता तेच आमच्या शेतकाऱ्यांनी परत परत एक वर्साक 2 पाट 3 पाट कल्टिवेशन करीत विडाचेरूय तुका कंट्रोल येता तुका एडिशनल क्रॉप मेवता ते मेवता परत तुज्या शेतान ते वीड आसता तेंय कमी जाता सो दॅट इज कल्चरींग म्हणजे 2-3 क्रॉप काडीत जाल्यार वीड एकदम कमी जावंक शकता
म्हणजे जमीन जितली पाटी सुबेज कोसताय पिकां काडटाय तितली नोंदणी कमी
जाता
बरें एक सांगा म्हाका आमची एक चाल आहा की आमी रोंपे बी आदी म्हज्या गांवांत हांव हालदोनचो रोंपे दामता म्हणटात म्हणजे रोंप्या मोदीं तोंड घालप असले तुमी केला नोंदणी येना जावपाक
ना हांव म्हाजें फुडलें थिंकींग आसा तें मल्चिंग
होय ताका माल्चिंगूच म्हणटा इंग्लीश भाशेन
हें माल्चिंग आसात तें नॅचरल माल्चिंग पण हांव चडशें प्लास्टीक माल्चिंगाचो विचार करता
बरें
सो कित्याक म्हाका तें वॉटरी प्रिजर्वेशन जातलें
होय
आनी नोंदणी कंट्रोल जातली
बरें इश्टानो नोंदणी एक मोठो प्रॉब्लम हा आनी नोडपाक खूब त्रासूय जाता आनी खोर्सूय जाता कांय लोक आनी आमी शेती खात्यान आसतना आमी म्हणटाले शेतकाऱ्यांक स्प्रे मारा म्हूण कॅमिकल स्प्रे नोंदणी तणनाशक वखदांचो पूण आतां कांय दुसरे उपाय आयिल्ले आहा एक तांतलो उपाय म्हणटा पळय तो माल्चिंग वो मराठीन ताका आच्छादन म्हणटात हें कांय न्ही 2 भासाचें आहा एक म्हणटा पळय तें काळें प्लास्टीक माल्चिंग वो सिल्वर टायप प्लास्टीक माल्चिंग आनी तातूंत बुराक करून आमी रोंपे आमचे घालपाचे वो दुसरें म्हणटा पळय तें आमचे गांवांत मेवता पळय ते सोंपेपणी तोंड वो खोलयो हे तर झाडां मदीं एक बरे 4-5 बोटां दाटायेर तर मांडून दवरीत जाल्यार तुका नोंदणी सोंपेपणी येना उदक घालता पळय तें खूब कमी लागता कित्याक तें उदक सोंपेपणी सुकोना गायनोळू आहाय पळय ते तातूंत येतात ते माती भितरल्यान बरी कालयतात आनी तातूंतल्यान कितें सोडटा पळय तो एक कार जावन आसा झाडांक म्हणटच तें माल्चिंग म्हणटा पळय तें एकदम बरी गोश्ट आनी खूब फायद्याची आनी सोंपेपणी आमी करूंक जाता आदीं करताले म्हणटच हें चिंतप की सगळें नितळ आसपाचें एक खोली पासून आसूंक फावना झाडां लागीं तें चुकीचें ह्या खोलयांचो आनी तोंड बी आहा पळय ते लास्टचे सुवातेर हें माल्चिंग करपाचें म्हणजे रोंपे कितें आहा पळय ते जमनीर ते दावून ते मातयेचेर दवरून तहो करून फायदो आमी बरो करुया आनी इतलेंच न्ही ही कुसून मागीर ताजी बरी माती काराची माती तयार जाता आनी कांय तरेची यंत्रां आहा मिशिन्स जी मॅन्युअल टायप म्हणजे आमी लोटून बी करूंक जाता वो क्षेत्र तर तुमचें चड आहा जाल्यार तुमी मागीर ते पावर टायप ल्हान मिशिनां पेट्रोल डिझल ऑपरेटेड असली मिशिनां वापरून नोंदणेचो बंदोबस्त करूंक येता बरें आतां जायते तरेच्यो किडी आमच्या झाडांचेर भाजयेचेर येतात तांकां खुबशे उपाय आसात आदीं म्हणटू कॅमिकल फर्टिलायझर हे पॅस्टिसायड वापरताले जे आतां आमी वापरिना वो वापरी नाका म्हणटा तर एक जालो ते स्टिकी ट्रॅप चिंवता पळय ते आनी झाडार बसता पळय ते झाडांक वापरूंक जी लागीं लागीं झाडां लायता पळय ती पूण आनीक दुसरी आसात आनी ताका म्हणटात जिवाणू औशधां ही जिवाणू औशधां 2 भासाचीं आसा एक म्हणटा पळय ते किडी पासत दुसरें म्हणटा पळय ते रोग जायना जावपाक बाब जोकीन तुमी तुमच्या प्लॉटार बी केन्नाय जिवाणू औशधां वापरलेलीं आसा
थोडीशी वापरली हांवें एक म्हणजे ट्रायकोडर्मा
होय
ट्रायकोडर्मा एक आसा अशी जमनीक एप्लिकेशन करीत जाल्यार म्हाका दिसता तेजो भरपूर कंट्रोल येता मॅनेज करूं येता डिसीजीस एक म्हणजे टोमॅटो आमची ब्रिंजॉल वांयगी
वांयगी.
वांयग्यांक म्हाका दिसता इवन चिलीज मागीर पेपरान तर भरपूर हेजो हें दिसला आमकां मिरवेलीक
ओके पण आमी आयज चड भर दिवया भाजयेचेर आनी तुमी एक वांयग्याची बरी याद काडली कित्याक वांयग्यांकूय हांव आयकोता ICR आमच्या व्हडल्या गोंयांत 4 तरेच्यो जाती तयार केल्ल्यो आसा आनी ताका म्हणटात गोवा 1, गोवा 2, गोवा 3, गोवा 4 आनी 4य जातींक रोग भावता पळय वांयगीन भावता पळय ती हो रोग जायना आनी ते भायर तांणी आमचे आक्षी आनी गोवा वेल्ल्याचे मोठी वांयगी आहा पळय ती जांकां हो रोग लागता ते तरेची वांयगी ग्राफ्टिंग करून पासून एक टॅक्नीक काडलेली आहा आनी ते शेतकाऱ्यांक शिकयतात म्हण बरें बाब जोकी किडी पासत आमचे लागीं जायते तरेचे दुसरेय उपाय आहा जिवाणू औषधांचे आतां हांगा आसा एक मेथारायझियम एनायझोप्लिये हो एक पावडर टायप पॅकेटान येता आनी हें जमनीन किडी जाता पळय त्यो तांकां मारून उडयता म्हणजे जमनीन बी कांय दोये तरेचे किडे आसतात आनी झाडाची पाळां खातात ओ वायटी वाळय असले हाका हें वापरप एकदम गरजेचें मागीर आनीक जायते तरेचे आहा हांगा एक आसा लेकानिसिलियम लेकानी ओ आदीं ताका वर्टिसिलियम लेकानी म्हणटात हें एक किडी विशीं बेस्ट जिवाणू औषध आनी असलें जिवाणू औषध आमी सुरो म्हणटा पळय तो तुडतुडी लीफ हॉपर मागीर दोये बारीक दोवसार मुस्क आसा आनीक बाम आसा ओहोल्यांचेर नंबर 1 इफेक्ट मारून सगळ्यांक उडयता आनीक आमच्या पिकाचें संरक्षण करता म्हणजे ही जिवाणू औषधां आमी कशीं वापरपाचीं पळय ती एक्चुअल प्लॉटार वेता शेतान वेता पळय तेन्ना पळयतले हांव पुणी 2-3 बासांनी वापरूंक जाता एक म्हणटा पळय तें बी लावचे आदीं बियाण्यांक कालोवन उदक बी घालून बियाण्यांक लावपाचें ओ रोंपे ज्या भाजयेच्या पाल्याचे रोंपे आमी लायता ते रोंपे ह्या सोल्युशनान ताजी पाळां बुडोवन काडून ते लावंक जाता ओ तिसरें म्हणटा पळय तें गोबाड्डें शेणखत असलें कितें घालता पळय तें तातूंत मिक्स करून तें वापरता पळय तेन्ना हाची संख्या जमनीन पसरता आनीक मागीर ते तुका झाडांकूय बरें पडटा
नेल्सन बाब एक कथा तूं सांग हे सोडून आमचे थोडे लायट ट्रॅपूय आमी आयकल्ले जावं दुसरे ट्रॅप आसा ताचेर थोडी तूं म्हायती दिवंक शकता
वय जोकी जायते तरेचे किडींक वायट किडींक उजवाडाचो ओत्रेक आसा हें हांवें म्हणलां पळय तें तुडतुडी बी चड करून आनी कांय दुसरी पिसोळी लागतात जे आमची मिरसांग वांयगी तोपतात हांकां उजवाडाक येवपाची संय आसा म्हणटकूच आदीं पेट्रोमाक्स आसताले आनी ते पेट्रोमाक्स दवरलो जाल्यार एक फायदो जातालो केन्ना 3सांच्या टायमार म्हणजे एक 6:30 ती 8:15 पासून आतां म्हण तूं सोलर लँटर्न आयल्या ते सोलर लँटर्न एक वयर दवरले जाल्यार एक कायल घेतली ताजेर एक ईट ओ लाकडाचो कुडको दवरलो भोंवतणी साबू आनी उदक तर घातलें आनी ताजे वयर एक सोलर लँटर्न दवरलें जाल्यार हांवें सांगलां ते भाशेन एक 7 वरां ती 8:15 वरां 8:30 वरां मॅक्सिमम जाल्यार ह्यो किडी येतात ताका आपटतात त्या उदकान साबवाच्या उदकान पडटात आनी किडी मरतात
इवन म्हाका दिसता आतां लायटीचेर आतां
इलेक्ट्रिसिटी आयल्या पूण
लायटीचोय उपयोग करूं येता न्हू
वय जाता पूण ताका इलेक्ट्रीक कनेक्शनूय आसूंक जाय
ते वायर वरयता वायर आतां कांय व्हडलेशे म्हाका दिसना वायर सगळ्या कडेन आसता शेतांनी चडशे पंप आसलो म्हणटा तुका इलेक्ट्रिसिटी आसा इलेक्ट्रीक आसा म्हणजे तुज्या लायटी उपयोग करूं येता लायटीचो
सारकें ना करूंक येतात ना न्ही आनी असलो एक उपाय तुवें बरे भाशेन सांगलां पळय तें फायद्याक शेतकाराच्या सगळ्या पडटलो बरें तर आनी कसली जायती तरेची वखदां जिवाणू औषधां आहा हांवें सांगल्या पळय ती 2 मेथारायझियम एनायझोप्लिये मागीर वर्टिसिलियम लेकानी लेकानिसिलियम लेकानी मागीर बोवेरिया बेसियाना ही खास किडी पासत किडी लुचकोण करता पळय ते पासत ते भायर रोगा पासत आमचे लागीं स्युडोमोनस फ्लोरसन्स म्हूण एक तरेचो बॅक्टेरिया जीव बरो जीव तो आसा बॅसिलस सबटिलिस म्हूण आसा आनी जोखीम बाबान सांगलां पळय तें ट्रायकोडर्मा म्हूण आसा. ही 3 भासांनी वापरूं येता. पयलें म्हणटा पळय ते गरज पडल्या जमनीन तर जीव आहा जाल्यार भावता पळय त्या रोगा पासत बियांक लावंक जाता वो रोंपे आहा पळय ते बुडोवन रोंप्याची पाळां बुडोवंक जाता. मागीर खता बरोबर म्हणजे गोबाड्डें शेणखत वर्मी कंपोस्ट कितें वापरता पळय तातूंत मिक्स करून ती वापरूंक जाता. आनी स्युडोमोनास फ्लोरसन्स आनी बॅक्टेरिया बॅसिलस सबटिलिस तांचो स्प्रे मारूंक जाता. म्हणजे कॅमिकल आमी वखदां वापरताले ते स्प्रे करून ते भाशेन ही वखदां वापरूंक येता. पूण ही वखदां एकदम बरी सेफ शेतकाऱ्यांक. आमच्या झाडां पालान विकार बी कांय आसचो ना.
शेतकऱ्यांक म्हणजे आमी खातेल्यांक म्हणटा कंज्युमर.
होय कंज्युमर. हां शेतकाऱ्यांक आनी जे शेतकाऱ्याचें उत्पन्न खातात पळय तांकां. सारकें सारकें बरें. एक आमी हे स्टिकी ट्रॅप्स सापळे पयले पूण दुसरे तरेचे सापळे आहात. आतां एक फळ माशी म्हणजे फ्रूट फ्लाय हे आमचे तोळशीं घोसाळीं दोडगी हाका आनी त्या भायर म्हणटू आंबे पेरांक इतर तरेच्या झाडांकूय ही फळ माशी आसता. पूण भाजयेची आहा पळय ती मातशी दुसरे भाशेची आनी तांकां आनी आंब्याचे हाकाकूय एक तरेचो सापळो आहा. हो एक मातसो हायफाय सापळो ट्रॅप. हातून एक वास घालपाचो. जो हांगा आहा एक नळी कही आहा हें उकडून हातून ती घालपाची आनी ह्या भितर एक बेसीन कही आहा हातून उदक आनी साबणाचो सोल्युशन हें घालून तें दवरपाचें. वो जाय जाल्यार पॅस्टिसायडूय घालूंक जाता पूण ते पॅस्टिसायड झाडांक न्ही कीड मारपाक. आनी ही एक 2 फूट म्हणटू जमनी वयर लांबून दवरपाची जाल्यार सगळे ते नर जातीचे फळ माशी आहा पळय ते त्या वासाक हांगा येतात आनी त्या उदकान पडटात आनी थंयच मरून वेतात. म्हणटकूच नर तर मेली जाल्यार संख्या ताची वाडपाक खूब कठीण. म्हणजे तातूंतल्यान आमच्या तोळशीं घोसाळीं दोडगी मागीर कोंकण दुदी तेंडलीं कारात्यांक असल्या तरेच्या जातीच्या पिकांक खूब प्रोटेक्शन मेळटा आनी उत्पन्नूय वाडूंक येता. एक म्हत्वाचें आहा म्हणटा पळय तें उदक घालप. जायते जाण आमी भरपूर शेत ओलें करून सारकें कालोवन उडयता चड ओलें करता तातूंत रोग बी वाडपाची शक्यता आसा. म्हणटच उदक तर कंट्रोलार घालीत जाल्यार ड्रीप सिस्टम असले तरेचे पद्दत बी वापरीत जाल्यार रोग कमी करपाक बरो उपाय आसा. म्हणटच इश्टानो हो एक जावन आसलो एक तरेचो ट्रेलर कहो कितें कितें आमी करूंक जाता. पूण फुडल्या एपिसोड्स आहा पळय ते आमी तातूंत हे बारीकसाणीन कशें वापरपाचें पळय तें पळयतले हांव. कांय किडी आनी रोग आहा पळय ते पळयतले हांव आनी कशी आमी आमची भाजी जी लावंक जाता ते बरे प्रमाणान सुपीक स्वादिश्ट आनी कितें दुयेंसाचो आकार ताका ना पळय तसली भाजी कशी करपाची ती पळोवचें.
आनी तुमी सांगलां आमी शेतान पळोवपाचें नेक्स्ट एपिसोडाक आमच्या.
होय.
आमी फॉरेस्ट शेतान वचोन कितें करपाचें कशें लावपाचें कशें तें वापर करपाचो म्हाका दिसता हें करतले.
वय बाब जोकी आमी शेतानूच करुया हें सो सगल्यांक सोंपेपणी गमता पळय तशें.
Friends, today the hero we are going to talk about is Jethro from the book of Exodus. He appears very few times in the life of Moses, but those were the important phases where Jethro gives new direction in Moses' life. Jethro, also called as Reuel, in the Old Testament was a priest of Midian of the Kenite clan. He had 7 daughters who took care of his sheep. After running away from Egypt in the desert, Moses meets Jethro's daughters who were chased by the local shepherds, and he rescues them. On hearing this, Jethro invites Moses to his home and soon gives his daughter Zipporah in marriage to Moses. From then on, Moses begins to tend Jethro's sheep, during which we all know Moses encounters God in the burning bush. After the Exodus, when Jethro heard of all the miracles God did for the Jews, he visited the Hebrews and brought with him Moses' wife and son. There he exclaimed to Moses, "I know now that Yahweh is greater than all the gods." And there he officiated at the sacrifice to Yahweh that was attended by Aaron and other elders. By now, Moses had become very powerful and famous, and Jethro gives him useful advice of how to govern. He suggested that Moses appoint able men to assist him in judging his people, thus founding the Hebrew judiciary. Moses invited Jethro to join his newly created nation. Jethro gracefully declines by invoking his obligation to his family and tribe in the land of Midian. What can we learn from the person of Jethro? Jethro's character is surely elegant, sincere, and flawless. He is present only when needed. He speaks only when asked. Everything he does without malice. He never thinks of taking advantage of his position as first counselor to the great leader Moses. That is all for now.
The Lord is my shepherd. I have everything I need. He lets me rest in fields of green grass and leads me to quiet pools of fresh water. He gives me new strength. He guides me in the right paths as He has promised. Even if I go through the deepest darkness, I will not be afraid, Lord, for You are with me. Your shepherd's rod and staff protect me. You prepare a banquet for me, where all my enemies can see me. You welcome me as an honored guest and fill my cup to the brim. I know that Your goodness and love will be with me all my life, and Your house will be my home as long as I live. The Lord is my shepherd. I have everything I need.
दुर्बळ काय सोरभोवती हांवें पळयल्यार समाजाची उदारगत जाताशी दिसता, पूण खोलायेन पळयल्यार दुर्बळायेची परिस्थिती अतीक गंभीर जाल्या. मनशाची गरज भागोवपाक इतली दवलत आसा, पूण ताचें वांटप जाताना थोड्यांकूच मेळटा. देखूनच लोक वळवळून मरता. दुर्बळकाय जिन्सा भासाची. फक्त दुडवांनी कोण गिरेस्त जायना, पूण दुर्बळ मनीस भावनांनी श्रेश्ठ आसता. असल्या भावनाक समाजात कोण लेखता? वेगवेगळे दुर्बळकायेचे स्वभाव. आपलें घरदार नासून जायतीं भाकूळ जातात. गोंदळाक सांपडून हिणपण भोगतात. भायर आयलोलीं मनशां कशीं जियेतात. उदारगतीच्या नांवान सगळें पाड कोत्तात. दुर्बळाचे हक्क मानून घेनात. एकूच संस्कृताय म्हणून आवाज गाजयतात, पूण मनशाचे हक्क माडयतात.
Hi viewers, welcome back. This is Literary Goa, the program that looks at books and authors from Goa and about Goa. Today we have with us a really special person because Tony Saldana is someone who's based halfway around the world in Cincinnati actually. And he has worked for almost 3 decades with Procter & Gamble, been posted in a large number of countries all over the globe. Recently written a book called Why Digital Transformations Fail. If it sounds too technical, don't panic. He's going to explain to us what exactly it means. So Tony, over to you. Would you like to tell us about your book, first of all, Why Digital Transformations Fail? And in simple English, what does it mean?
Yes, no, I would be delighted to do that. Firstly, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you and your audience. As a person from Goa, I am absolutely delighted to be here. So the book, Why Digital Transformations Fail, you're right, is actually not for IT technologists. It is for leaders, but then also normal people like you and me, because many people really don't understand the context behind the massive change that is happening around us. We all know that, we can call anywhere on the world on WhatsApp for free today, whereas only, 20, 30 years ago, it would cost a fortune to make a call somewhere. Or that, you can order a taxi online, or, you can do shopping online. And all of that is actually a massive industrial revolution. So it's called the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And just like the first industrial revolution was about, the use of machinery and, the steam engine to change the way the world or the industry works. The second one was about how electricity was changing the world in the early 1900s. The third one, a few decades ago, was about the birth of the internet. The fourth one, which is digital, is all about bringing together the biological field, the mechanical field, the social field, and digital all together. So digital is changing all of those, which explains why you have, things like not just WhatsApp, but Facebook and so on and so forth. It explains why, you have genetics, genetic medicine and so on and so forth. It explains why you have drones and other things that are doing, and robots that are doing factory work. So if that is digital revolution or digital disruption, digital transformation is changing the way companies used to operate, which is in the third industrial revolution. So you might, do your logistics, or you might do your marketing a certain way. And we know how marketing has changed from TV to now social media. With digital transformation, it's all about doing it in a totally different way. Now, 70% of those attempts to upgrade yourself, digital transformations fail. And my book is all about why that happens, or actually, more accurately, it's based on my own experience of how to make them successful.
But before we get into the technicalities of that, what I found interesting from what you were saying is that the world is changing, and it is, because we can communicate, even a station like this, we can make it possible, or the diaspora can communicate with Goa much more effectively.
Yes.
It's like almost there is a Goan village in parts of Canada and parts of the US and things like that. Having said that, I still think that sometimes we are slow to get onto this bandwagon. Of course, your perspective is of industry. What are the implications for a state like Goa when it comes to digital transformations?
I think the implications are, hopefully very, very positive. I tend to be an optimist on all of this change. And I think that the world is going to be disrupted or changed by people and societies that want to learn, and they are not afraid of changing. I find that in Goa, you have people that are willing to try anything, that are willing to take risks, that are mobile, that are able to go anywhere. That's not true in many of the developed societies. And so the real disruption, you never know, maybe the next Amazon or the next Alibaba may actually come from one of these places. And the same is true also for society, right? Because society, whether it is agricultural people or solar, the combination of digital and those can change the way society works. So now you have, not to get too technical, but certain technologies called blockchain, which are changing the way electricity is not just generated on rooftops, but is sold in an open market in really developing places like Africa. And that technology is actually better than anything that's available in the US. So and as I said, I'm an optimist, but I really think that this is an opportunity of historic proportions for Goa.
So Tony, you actually, at the moment we didn't mention it, but you have your own consulting firm called Transformant.
Yes, I did.
And before that, 27 years at Procter & Gamble.
Yes.
And you were posted all over the world. Tell us a bit about your career and how it evolved and your studies. And
yeah, that's an interesting story by itself.
You grew up in Nagpur, right?
I grew up in Nagpur. My father was in the Indian Railway, so I was actually born in Kharagpur, but really spent most of my growing years in Nagpur. And I did my engineering there, and then went on to do an MBA in marketing and finance at IIM Lucknow. And my own background from an educational standpoint was not IT technology. In fact, my MBA was in marketing and finance, and it was only when I started looking for jobs during campus interviews that I realized that half the companies that came there were from technology, IT technology. And so I took a job with Tata Unisys, later on became TCS.
Which was a growing firm then. No?
Which was a very big and growing
Fast.
firm at that time. And then I worked in India a couple of years and then went to the US. But then after about 4 years of working, I came back because I didn't consider myself a technologist. And I was afraid that Unisys Corporation, by that time I was working on contract with them, they considered me a technical expert, a global technical expert. And I was like, no, that's not me. I'm a finance, I'm a marketing person. So I actually came back to India as a result of that, and then joined Procter & Gamble because P&G, as you may know, is known as a marketing company. And they didn't have openings in the marketing department, but they did in IT. And I was like, okay, so let me start with IT and then quickly shift to marketing. But over time, I realized I didn't have to do that. And P&G kept giving me these opportunities. I was in Japan for a couple of years and then in the Philippines, came back to India as the CIO of the P&G company in 1995. And then they posted me to Singapore in an Asia role, and then to Cincinnati, which is the headquarters, in 99. And then, again, back and forth, I was the CIO of the global Gillette company in Boston. And again, shipped out to Switzerland and Singapore for a few years. So it's been a great career, and after all of these years, I've reconciled to the fact that there is no such thing as, you're a marketing person or you're an IT person. You have to just use all of those disciplines to get your job done.
And Transformant, your current company?
Transformant is something that I started a year ago after I left P&G. I retired from P&G because I wanted to take this experience of having done so much change using technology at Procter & Gamble, and my own convictions that the fourth industrial revolution is a time of great opportunity. By the way, not just for companies, but for countries, for societies, and for individuals. And I wanted to bring some of that experience to make that successful in terms of a change.
You told us about digital revolutions, but you didn't tell us why it fails. So in a nutshell, or
Yes, that's another very good question. In a nutshell, it fails for two reasons. One is because leaders of companies, leaders of government, all get taken in by the hype and the confusion of what exactly is digital transformation. So, depending on what side of the spectrum, hope or fear, that you subscribe to, there's so much information. On the fear side, there are all of these, articles and commentary about how the robots are going to take all of our jobs, right? On the hope side, you have great possibilities of, maybe living many, many more decades, or about how AI or artificial intelligence can improve anything that we do.
Or working for a short part of the week instead of having
exactly
the full week.
Exactly. And so there is such a confusion about what is reality. So then the first reasons why transformations fail is because leaders want to do something about it, but they're not sure what to do about it. And so that is a huge waste. It's a little bit like, you say, I think I want to go to space, but you're not really clear that you want to land on the moon. And so, you can go off in many directions as a result. So it may sound trivial, but, most of the times I find that there's, a huge opportunity there. The second reason is that when they do start to change, there is a lot of confusion about what digital transformation is. Many people consider it to be, just IT software or hardware. So, let's use software to do some things. In reality, and this is the reason why I talk about the fourth industrial revolution, it's about being successful in a completely new industrial age. So you have to change, yes, technology, but you have to change education, you have to change culture, you have to change the system. So it is completely rewiring the way societies and individuals work. And most of the methodology that's used to execute that really doesn't look at it from that angle. So the combination of the two, being unclear about the goals and not being able to execute correctly, results in 70% failure rates.
I like the story you told to the US Daily Review in that sense about Alice in Wonderland.
Yes, it's kind of funny, but it's true. I talked about how senior leaders are a little confused about, what is the right goal. And I use Alice in Wonderland because, you will remember the incident in the book when Alice asks the Cheshire Cat, Cheshire Cat, which way do I go? Where do I go? And the Cheshire Cat says, well, it depends on where you want to get to. And she says, I don't really care. And then he says, it doesn't really matter which way you go in that case. And it sounds funny, but it is really symptomatic of what happens, because many leaders, go attend conferences or, they read some exciting books and they come to their company and say, let's become digital. And then I've had the opportunity in consulting of saying, okay, but what do you want your company to be? And they said, well, I want it to be digital, but they're not really specific about what they want to change. And that's Alice in Wonderland.
The concept of a retail apocalypse, which you mentioned,
Yes.
Could you explain that? How does it work?
So the retail apocalypse is a term that's been coined over the last few years to describe the major shift in the retail industry. Of course, in India, we're all familiar with what Flipkart has done to shopping, and Amazon India, and so on and so forth. And that phenomena is the same all over the world, right?
Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
I think right now it is not necessarily, it's an inevitable thing, but the way it is playing out is not well, right? And that's one of the reasons I want to address the successful change. So the way it is playing out today is that, you have these companies, the online companies, or even, the big multinationals that are just kind of coming in, and you have many of the mom and pop stores and others that are suffering as a result, right? And the reason retail apocalypse happens is that these large companies, and they don't have to be online, even major retail chains, the way they use technology for warehousing, where they can completely identify and move things using robots without humans in these warehouses, is absolutely amazing. And obviously mom and pop stores don't have anywhere that ability, and therefore you have, food that gets wasted, or, products that get lost, right? So the way it is being executed is that you have companies with resources that are able to use digital to their advantage. That's what I meant by saying it's inevitable. The fact that digital technology is being used in retail is as inevitable as the horse carriage industry during the second revolution eventually being replaced by cars, right? What needs to change there is, we need to, and this is really some of the work Transformant tries to do, is to help these small and medium enterprises understand that they can use that technology as well as the bigger companies. And because they are smaller companies, they are more nimble, they can move faster. And so they can make decisions, and they can become the next Amazon, right? So that's what I mean by saying
It's
it's
a real thing.
inevitable,
It's-
but
it's-
it's possible to
yeah.
be executed much better.
Tony, tell us about your growing up. I mean, you were a Goan expat, and
Yes.
growing up in Nagpur, the odds are against you, but still, I think we do come across people, a few Goans who have conquered the top. How did you achieve it, and what's your advice to young people?
Oh, wow. Well, I don't know that I've conquered the top, but I feel that I'm very privileged and I'm very blessed in that manner by the support I've had and the opportunities. So I think the first thing to give credit where credit is due is the role that the family plays in giving you the education and the opportunity.
Strong sense on education.
Absolutely. I think
Especially from the women folk in that sense. And
that is
also men.
absolutely true. In our case, it was both our father and mother who, even when times were difficult, when money was tight, education was always prioritized. And so the first thing I would tell parents is, even when you have to make some tough calls, education is your best strategy to pull yourself out from whatever situations you have. The second thing that I think worked in my favor was the ability or the flexibility to just, go to wherever there was a bigger opportunity. So if it happened to be, I talked earlier about how I thought I wanted to be in marketing, but eventually it was like, no, I really don't care, because the bigger ability to drive change happened to be in IT, and I was perfectly fine with that. Or, the flexibility to move if that's what it takes. So that's the second thing. The third piece of advice, which I actually think that the youth of today has that I didn't have necessarily, is the availability of information online and the ability to learn online. I've always been very curious, and I read a lot, and nowadays, of course, I spend a lot of time. I force myself to read at least about 5 articles every day and try and post something about it every day. But with things like online universities, Coursera, you can be in Goa and you could be taking lessons that MIT posts, right, online. So that's another really important thing, especially in the context of industrial revolutions, where if you are able to educate yourself, then where you are in the world really doesn't matter.
Tell us something about the Goan community in Nagpur, because we've heard so much about it, or Kharagpur for that matter.
Yeah, Kharagpur, unfortunately, I have very little memory.
Okay.
I left there, my family left there when I was 4 years old.
Okay.
And so, not much remains in my memory. But Nagpur was actually a very fascinating community, because I think Nagpur has always historically had a lot of Goan presence. We were talking earlier about some of the big Goans there. And so, although the Goans were distributed, there were always pockets of locations, usually around the church.
Right.
And in certain locations.
The school, Francis de Sales?
In Francis de Sales was, again, where I went, and it's a fantastic school. And there were, St. Joseph's Convent and St. John's School and others. And then also kind of moving up to college, the Goan and Catholic institutions there were very, very strong.
Which ones?
SFS, St. Francis de Sales, also had a college, which was still is very highly reputed. And there were many others there like that. And so the Goan diaspora, the Goan community, kept in touch with each other, usually around church-oriented activities. True. And then, through educational activities. And so it was a little bit of mini Goa. You had, all of the same feasts and, the availability of pork and, other things to make sorpotel or, whatever you want. So it's very nice.
What was your message to the university students, Goa University students yesterday?
Oh, yes, I did have the opportunity to speak to the MBA and IT students. My message, a little bit along the lines of what I was saying, is that I told them the world as you know it is going to be completely disrupted, right? And then the second message I told them was, And because of that, there has never been a better time than now to be in your shoes. And then I went on to reassure them that although those two statements sound contradictory, I hadn't had Fanny, and I was going to reconcile why, a huge change, a huge disruption in their lives could still translate into a big opportunity.
What are the challenges waiting for you now that you've done so much, achieved so much? And
honestly, I feel a sense of almost like a sense of duty to help the youth, to help companies, to help the place that I came from, Goa in India, to navigate this big change that is happening around us. I've been very fortunate. Many of the things that you worry about when you're young about, your family, are you going to have enough money to survive, things like that. I'm fortunate in that I don't have to worry about that right now. But at the same time, I feel very privileged because I am in that situation. And so I think it feels right to be able to give back some of that.
And you're planning a release of the book shortly in Goa?
I am, yes, we are. So I will be back again in a month, in September. We're still trying to lock down the actual venue, but hopefully somewhere around Panjim, and the dates as well, somewhere around the 20th of September. And again, I think this is an opportunity to try and bring the industry and the educational institutes, and hopefully students and people that want to learn about how we can make this disruptive era into a big opportunity for everybody.
When it comes to India and Goa and the diaspora, what do you see as its strengths and weaknesses at this point of time?
I see that the biggest strengths continue to be what we have historically been, which is we're a mobile community, we're a very flexible community. We're a community that, at least in parts, is very interested in learning, right, in education. And that is exactly what you need during periods of industrial revolutions, right? I think our biggest opportunity is in organizing, in being much more strategic and even coherent about how we're going to use something to our advantage. We were talking earlier on that, even in the diaspora outside India, there is such a big opportunity to get, the Goans together in different places, in Toronto or, even Cincinnati or New York. There's so many Goans that are doctors, that are scientists, that, are CEOs of large companies. But we're not really a community in that particular sense, that you have other communities from other countries or even from India that do that, right? And I think maybe that is our biggest opportunity, and that's one of the reasons I really love the work that you and CCR TV are doing, because you have to use media to be able to drive.
And in today's world, we really don't have an excuse for not linking up or not keeping in touch, because distance is not.
Distance is not an issue. You have everything from social media, not just Facebook, but within that, or even WhatsApp, you can have communities for Goans, and this is an opportunity to even if you don't want to travel, the ability to advise each other. If somebody is trying to get into an IT field and they have questions about what to do, or their parents have questions, we can reach out and connect.
So while on that point, a word of advice to someone who wants to follow your footsteps, of course, which are tough, but just a word of advice.
Oh, I'm sure the kids of today will be much more successful than I ever hoped to be. But my first advice is embrace technology. We know that technology can be confusing. When you're trying to get into education, and by the way, I'm not preaching that everybody needs to become an IT professional. In fact, you should not, right? I think you have to be an applied technologist. So if you're a teacher, you have to really understand how technology is going to change the way teaching is done, right? Learning online, tools that you can use, and disrupt teaching using technology. You are a good example of that in what you've done. I mean, we were talking earlier before the interview of how you started originally, with newspaper and, and here we are, right, doing cable TV. So that's the first, embrace technology and figure out how you can learn. And you can learn online. You don't have to necessarily take IT classes. And secondly, focus on application of technology, not just writing programs or writing software, but in whatever field you are, figure out how you can use technology to disrupt it.
Thank you so much, Tony, for spending your time here. It's been a pleasure talking to you and getting to know of you and your work. And had your sister Flori not mentioned that my brother is down and this is what he's doing, he's talking at the university, I might have missed your path. I'm so happy that at short notice you came over to CCR TV and recorded this interview. Thanks so much and all the best, and hope you can keep a lot of contacts with home too.
Oh, I would love to. I want to thank you, Rico, for organizing this and your audience for listening to us today. Thank you very much.
अपुरबाईच्या भुरग्यानो, सगल्यांक तुमकां देवाचे कृपेन भरलेलो दीस आवडेता. समजता तुमी सगळीं सुरक्षीत आनी खुशाल आसात म्हूण. आयचे हे भावार्थ आकारणेचे बसके आमी मागण्यांतल्यान सुरवात दिवया. आमचे हात जोडून ह्या मागण्यांत वांटो घेवया. Kindly join your hands. बापाचे आनी पुताचे आनी पवित्र आत्म्याचे नावे आमीन. मोगाल बापा, आमी तुका दिनवासतां ह्या नव्या दिसा वेळा आनी काळा पासप. आमची आकारणी करतल्या आमच्या आवय बापाय, याज्ञिका आनी मोतवाशा आनी संदेशकारां पासत. बापा, तुज्या पुता जेजू आपणाकूच मोडून आमकां जिवीत बासायलें. ह्या आमच्या जिविताच्या देण्या खातीर आमी तुका दिनवाशी. जेजू, तूं आमकां सदांच तुज्या मोगान भरताय. होच तुजो मोग आमी सगळ्या तांय वांटूंक तूं आमकां शिकय. जेजू, ह्या वर्साक तुका आमच्या काळजान संस्काराच्या रुपान घेवूंक आमची बरी तयारी जावं. तूं आमकां तुजो आदार फावो कर. जेजू, तूं सदांच सुपुल्ल्या भुरग्यांचे मागणी आयकताय. तर ह्या कांय दिसांनी कोविड-19 हे पिडेन सगळ्याच्या जिवितान भिरांत उचांबळाय निर्माण जाल्या ती तूं पयस कर म्हूण आमी मागतां. आनी हे पिडेक बेगीनूच इलाज मेळूं म्हूण आमी तुजे लागीं विनोती करतां. हे आमी मागतां सोम्या जेजू क्रिस्ता वरवीं. आमेन. आमी आयज शिकूंक वेतेल्या पाठाचें नांव जावन आसा पवित्र मिसांत देवाचीं भुरगीं जेवणांत वांटो घेवंक एकठांय जातात. ह्या पाठाचो हेतू जावन आसा पवित्र मिसाची भेट भुरग्याचें ओत्मीक जेवण म्हूण भुरग्यांक शिकोवंक. आतां तुमचे मुखार एक इंग्लीश गायन दवरतां. I request you to join in singing this hymn.
Jesus has a table spread where the saints of God are fed. He invites his chosen people, come and dine. With his manna he doth feed and supplies our every need. Oh, 'tis sweet to sup with Jesus all the time. Come and dine, the Master calleth, come and dine. You may feast at Jesus' table all the time. He who fed the multitude turned the water into wine. To the hungry calleth now, come and dine. Soon the Lamb will take his bride to be ever at his side. All the host of heaven will assembled be. Oh, 'twill be a glorious sight, all the saints in spotless white, and with Jesus they will feast eternally. Come and dine, the Master calleth, come and dine. You may feast at Jesus' table all the time. He who fed the multitude turned the water into wine. To the hungry calleth now, come and dine. Come and dine, the Master calleth, come and dine. You may feast at Jesus' table all the time. He who fed the multitude turned the water into wine. To the hungry calleth now, come and dine. To the hungry calleth now, come and
भुरग्यानो, ह्या पयल्या चित्रान तुमकां कितें दिसता? होय, हें चित्र आमकां सांगता की एक भुरगें आपलो जोन दीस समोर ओंपता आनी ताजी फ्रेंड्स ताका ह्या दिसा खातीर विश करूंक आयल्यान. दुसऱ्या चित्रार पळयल्यार तुमकां कितें समजता? होय, हें चित्रार आमकां व्हंकल आनी न्हवरो दिश्टी पडटात. तशेंच तांच्या बरोबर जायतो लोक आसा ह्या तांच्या लग्नाचे कुशालकायेन वांटो घेतात. तिसरें चित्र पळयलां तुमी? कितें कळोन येता तुमकां? होय, सायबीण घरांत हाडटात. तुमगे सायबिणीक जायतो लोक येता न्हय. तुमची शेजारी, सोयरी, इश्टां. तर तेच भाशेन तांगेरूय सायबिणीक जायतो लोक आयला. तर भुरग्यानो, ही तिनूय चित्रां पळयल्यार आमकां कितें दिसून येता? ही तिनूय चित्रां आमकां एकूच मेसेज दितात की आमी सगळीं एकामेकाचे कुशालकायेन सांगाता वांटो घेतात. सगळीं समोरपणेंत एकठांय जातात. ही तिनूय चित्रां एकवट कुणायतात. तर भुरग्यानो, अशेच तरेन आमी आनीक खंय तरी सगळीं बरोबर सांगाता एकठांय जातात, ती आमी आमच्या आयचे बसकेक शिकुया. भुरग्यानो, ह्या चित्रांत तुमी कितें पळयतात? होय, आवय बापूय आनी भुरगीं सांगाती जेवतात. तुमकां सगळीं बरोबर जेवूंक बरें दिसता वो एक एकलें जेवूंक बरें दिसता? होय, आमी बरोबर जेवता तेन्ना न्हयच आमचे कुडीक जेवण मेळटा, पूण आमकां एकामेकाचो मोगूय मेळटा. आमची कुशालकाय वाडटा. ह्या खातीर आमच्या घरांनी एक सेलिब्रेशन जाल्यार, सोयरी दायरी एकठांय जाल्यार आमकां बरें दिसता. आमचो मोग वाडटा. आमची सोयरीगत वाडटा. Food tastes better when you share it with your family. हेच तरेन मोगाळ भुरग्यानो, देवा बापाकूय जाय आपली भुरगीं केन्ना केन्ना एकठांय जालेली. पवित्र स्नाना वरवीं आमी देवाची आनी पवित्र सोबेचे वांगडी जाल्यात. जशे तरेन एक झाड व्हड जावपाक ताका माती, उदक, सारें आनी आदी हांची गरज पडटा, तेच तरेन आमकां व्हडली करूंक आनी आमचें जिवीत वाडोवंक जेजू आमकां एक जेवण तयार करता. आनी हें जेवण म्हणल्यार मिसाची भेट, होली युकरिस्ट. हेंच जेवण शेवून सगळीं आमी देवाची भुरगीं इगोर्जेंत एकठांय जाता. पयलीं क्रिस्तांव हेच भाशेन देव मंदिरांत दिसपट्टी एकठांय जातालीं आनी उंडो मोडून देवाचें जेवण कुशालकायेन आनी सादेपणान जियेतालीं. तर ही पयल्या क्रिस्तावाची खबर देवाच्या उतरांतल्यान चीत दिवून आयकुया. पवित्र पुस्तक उगडुया. 2 दुतांचो इतिहास, 2रो आवेसून, वळी 42 ते 47. ती 2 दुतांची शिकवण घेवन भावपणाचो एकतार सांबाळून तशेंच उंड्याचे मोडणेंत आनी मागण्यांनी वांटो घेवंक कदींच चुकयनासली. सगलो लोक तोटाक जातालो, कित्याक 2 दुतां वरवीं पुस्कळ विस्मितां आनी खुणां घडटालीं. भावार्थी सगळीं एकवटान जियेतालीं आनी तांचे सगळे बागा आसले. ती आपली बाटां बिटां
विकताली आनी विक्रेचो दुडू सण एकल्याचे गौरचे पोरमोणे वांट्टाली. एकाच मोनान दिसपोटी ती देव मंदिरांत वेताली आनी उंडो मोडूंक तांच्या एका एका घरांत एकठांय जाताली आनी कुशालकायेन आनी काळजाच्या बोळेपणान ती देवाक वाखाणटाली आनी सगळ्या लोकांक मानवताली. जांकां तारण मेळचें आसलें तांकां तांच्या वांगडा हाडून दिसान दीस सर्वेस्पोर तांची संख्या चडवयतालो. देवाची उतर हें देवाचे व्हड उपकार. आमी आतां पळोवया कशे भाशेन पयल्या क्रिस्तांवां मदीं भावपण आनी मोग आसलेलो तो.
Listen to the apostles' teaching and practice what they taught.
Hey!
They met together in fellowship, shared meals, and prayed together. They were amazed as the apostles performed many miraculous signs and wonders. All the believers met together in one place and shared everything they had.
Here you go. Take this. Oh, thank you.
They helped those in need,
Here, this for you. Thank you.
worshiped together at the temple every day, met in homes for the Lord's Supper, and shared their meals with great joy, all while praising God.
मोगाल भुरग्यानो, दोमदुताच्या इतिहासाची खबर आमी वाचल्या आनी केरीत भाशेन आमकां ते पयल्या क्रिस्तांवाचें जिवीत कशें आसलें तें सांगतात. पयले सुवातेर ती दोमदुताचे शिकवणेक तीर रावली. दुसरें म्हणल्यार तांचे मदें मोगाचो आनी भाव भयणपणाचो एकवट आसलो. तांचे सगळे भागां आसली. They used to share their things with one another. तिसरे सुवातेर ती उंड्याचे मोडणेक एकठांय जाताली. In breaking of the bread, जावं घरांनी समुदायांनी मिसाचें बलिदान भेटोवप आनी हे तरेन तांचे मदें एकवटाची खुणा दिसून येताली. आनी निमणे सुवातेर ती सांगाती मागणे करूंक एकठांय जाताली आनी कोश्टांच्या वेळार ती एकामेकाक आदारवून जाताली. तर भुरग्यानो, they were very helpful to one another. आमी आमच्या जिवितान अशेंच करूंक शिकुया. We need to share our things with one another. दुसऱ्यांक आमचो आदार जाय तेन्ना आमी दुसऱ्यांच्या आदाराक पावूंक जाय. जेपोरी ती एकामेकाक आपलो आदार दिताली आनी एकवटान आनी मोगान जियेली, आमी आमच्या जिवितान एकवटान आनी मोगान जिवंक गरज. भुरगीं म्हणटोच तुमी तुमच्या फ्रेंडा लागीं चड आसतात. So among your friends, you need to be loving and you need to have the habit of sharing, giving. The Holy Eucharist. What does the Holy Eucharist celebrates? The Holy Eucharist celebrates Jesus' death and resurrection and experience his real presence. Why the Holy Eucharist is important? Children, you all know that our bodies need food in order to live. Our souls also need nourishment. Jesus nourishes us
by giving us the sacrament of the Holy Eucharist. ख्रिस्त प्रसादा वरवीं ओत्मीक जिवितान वाडूंक तोच जेजू आमचें जेवण जाता. जेजू मुनिस्कुलाच्या मोगान आपली कूड आनी रगत मिसाच्या बलिदाना वरवीं आमकां दवरता. सकल दिल्ली वाक्यां सारकें वो चूक तें सांगात. State whether the given statements are true or false. मिसांत वांटो घेवन आमकां देव जिवीत मेळटा. सारकें. आमी सोगलीं एकठांय पवित्र जेवणांत वांटो घेता. सारकें. पयल्या क्रिस्तांवां मदें एकवट आनी मोग नासलोलो. चूक. भुरग्यांनो, तुमच्या प्रश्नाचे जबाब सगळे सारके आसात. शाबासकी तुमकां. भुरग्यांनो, आतां तुमकां थोडोसो अभ्यास दिता. हो अभ्यास तुमी तुमच्या दोतोनीच्या पुस्तकार करात. पयलो म्हणल्यार जेवणा आदीं आनी जेवणा उपरांत कोत्तात ते मागणे तुमच्या उतरांनी बरयात. दुसरें म्हणल्यार बरोबर तुमचो कुटुंब जेवणा मेजार सांगाता जेवणाक आसात तें चित्र दसय. मोगाल बापा, आयचो हो दोतोनीचो पाठ तुवें आमकां ध्यान मन लावून शिकूंक आदार फावो केल्ल्या पासत आमी तुका दिनवासतां. पवित्र स्नानान तुवें आमकां जिवीत दिलें. आमकां तुजी भुरगीं केलें. आतां पवित्र मिसांत तुज्या पुता जेजूच्या जिवितान आमी वाडून वचूंक तुज्या मोगाच्या भुरग्यांक तूं जेवण वांट्टाय. ह्या तुज्या जेवणाची आशा आमच्या काळजांत ओदीक आनी ओदीक वाडय. सगल्यांक आमकां एकामेकाच्या मोगान आनी एकवटान ह्या जेवणान सदांच वांटो घेवंक शिकय. मिसाचे बेटेचो मोग आमच्या काळजांत तूं वाडय. सदांच आमकां एका मोनाची आनी एका काळजाची भुरगीं तूं कोर. तशेंच दर दिसाक तूं आमकां तुजे कुरपेन आनी बोळान भोर म्हूण आमी मागता. क्रिस्ता आमच्या सुमया वरवीं. आमेन.
To फाटल्या 3 पाठांनी आमी नुस्तें वा मासली ह्या विशयाक संबंद जाल्लीं उतरां आनी मासलेची नांवां आमी शिकल्या. आज आमी भाजी आनी भाजयेक संबंद जाल्ले विशय ती उतरां शिकुया. नुस्तें वा मांस हाचे परस आमी भाजी चड खाता आनी भाजी जिवाक बरी. तर भाजयेक संबंद जाल्लीं उतरां कोंकणींत खंयचीं आसात तीं आतां आमी पळोवया. भाजी, ती भाजी आनी ताचें प्लुरल जाता त्यो भाजयो. भाजयो स्पेलिंग पळयात मातशें. BHAJI वो ताचेर आमी सर्कमफ्लेक्स चेपें घाला कित्याक तें ओ न्हय तें ओ, भाजयो, वेजिटेबल. आतां भाजी ह्या उतराक आनी कांय कोंकणी उतरां आसात. देखीक तरकारी, ती तरकारी आनी ताचें बहुवचन त्यो तरकार्यो, तोच अर्थ वेजिटेबल. आनी एक उतर पळय आसा पळय कोंकणीन, रांदय, ती रांदय, त्यो रांदयो, ती रांदय, त्यो रांदयो. फुडें आमी आनी एक उतर पळया, वेरदूर, तें वेरदूर. अशें चड करून क्रिस्तांव लोक हें उतर वापरता. कांय जाणांक दिसता हें कसलें उतर आनी हें कोंकणी उतर न्हय. वय, हें उतर पोर्तुगेज भाशेंतल्यान आमकां कोंकणींत आयलां. कितें जालें? पोर्तुगेज भाशेंतलीं कितलींशींच उतरां आमच्या कोंकणींत आसात. मेस, कदेल, बांक, पपाय, मागीर अनस, आल्तार, तेर्स, मीस, कालसांव, कितलीं उतरां आमी घेतलीं आसात पोर्तुगेज भाशेंतलीं. आनी हेर नात. बुयांव, तेंतेसांव, बेजेसांव, पिकासांव, प्रासार हीं उतरां नात आमचे कडेन. आसात न्हय. पूण वेरदूर उतर पोर्तुगेज भाशेंतल्यान आमी घेतलें म्हणून कितें वायट जालें? कांय वायट जायना. पूण वेरदूर उतर जर आमी वापरलें तर तें जाता तें वेरदूर आनी ताका बहुवचन म्हणजे प्लुरल ना, हें लक्षांत घेवचें. फुडें शाक भाजी, ती शाक भाजी आनी ताचें प्लुरल जाता शाक भाजयो, अर्थोच वेजिटेबल. भाजीपालो, तो भाजीपालो, पूण ताका प्लुरल ना. इट इज यूज्ड इन सिंग्युलर ओन्ली, म्हणजे तो भाजीपालो, अर्थ तोच वेजिटेबल. आतां ही कोण भाजी विकतात म्हणा, शाकभाजी म्हणा, वेरदूर म्हणा, तरकारी म्हणा, रांदय म्हणा, ही कोण विकतात न्हय, तो जर दादलो जालो ताका आमी म्हणटा भाजयेकार. तो भाजयेकार. आतां ताजें प्लुरल म्हणजे एका परत चड भाजयेकार आसल्यार तांकां आमी परत तेंच उतर भाजयेकारच उरता. कांय फरक पडना. सिंग्युलर ऑर प्लुरल रिमेन्स द सेम इन कोंकणी, बट इट इज तो भाजयेकार. इट इज अ मॅस्क्युलीन. जालें? मेल वेजिटेबल वेंडर. आतां जर भाजी विकपी जर एक अस्तुरी आसता, चडश्यो भाजी विकपी अस्तुऱ्यो आसतात. कितें सगळ्योच अस्तुऱ्यो आसता अशें ना, दादले आसतात, पूण चडश्यो अस्तुऱ्यो आसतात. तर तांकां आमी कितें म्हणटा कोंकणीन? भाजयेकारन. भाजयेकारन, ती भाजयेकारन. आनी खूब जाणां असल्यार त्यो भाजयेकारनी, फिमेल वेजिटेबल वेंडर्स. आतां बाजारांत ती भाजी विकता, बाजारा भितर थंय अशें एक उंच असो जागो आसता, ताका म्हणटा भाजये मांड. मांड म्हणजे उंच अशी सुवात आनी ताचेर ती भाजी दवरतात. तशें फळांचे मांड आसात, दुसरे मांड आसात, पूण भाजी विकपा मांडाक भाजये मांड म्हणटात. आनी तो भाजये मांड म्हणचें पडटा. तो भाजये मांड आनी ताजें प्लुरल तेंच उरता, भाजये मांडच. प्लॅटफॉर्म टू सेल वेजिटेबल. आतां थंय बाजारांत जावं वा खंय भाजी विकता तर जाल्यार पंचायतीक वा म्युनिसिपालिटीक टॅक्स कर भरूंक आसा. ताका आमी कोंकणींत म्हणटा सोपो. सोपो तो सोपो आनी ताचें बहुवचन जाता ते सोपे. रेंट फॉर गव्हर्मेंट ते. आनी तो सोपो घेवंक एक मनीस येता. ताका आमी म्हणटा सोपेकार. तो सोपेकार आनी ताचें प्लुरल जाता ते सोपेकार. रेंट कलेक्टर. आतां हो सोपो फकत भाजयेकच घेता अशें ना. बाजारांत तुमी कितेंय विकता न्ही थंय ताका सोपो भरचो पडटा आनी तो सोपेकार येता आनी तुमचे कडल्यान तो पयशे घेता आनी तुमकां एक पावती तो दिता. आतां भाजेकारां म्हणा वा नुस्तें विकपी म्हणा नाल्यार फळां विकपी ते दिसाचे पयले विकतात न्हू. दिसाक पयले फावटी ते विकतात. ताका एक कोंकणीन उतर आसा बोणी. ती बोणी आनी ताचें बहुवचन बोणयो. त्यो बोणयो. आतां भाजेकारांक कितें करता ते बोणी आसतना ती मातशी वांटपण करिना. ती मातशें तुमकां उण्याक दिता. कित्याक तांच्या मतींत एक आसता बाबा बोणी बरी जाली तर आज आमचो धंदो बरो जातलो, वेपार बरो जातलो अशें तांचें एक चिंतप. देखून ती म्हणटा बाबा बोणी जावंक ना, चड वांटपण करूं नाका, तुका हांवें उणें केलां. चडशे बोणीक ती उणें करून दिता. पूण ते कोंकणींत अशें एक बरें उतर आसा. ती बोणी आनी त्यो बोणयो. डेज फर्स्ट सेल अशें आमी ताका इंग्लिजीन म्हणूं येता. आतां ती भाजी बाजारांत ती कशी घेवन येता. आतां पांटलो आसता. बास्केट. आतां पांटलो उतर आमी वापरलें जाल्यार तो पांटलो. तो पांटलो बांबूचो आसता, बेताचो आसता, ऑफ रीड ऑर ऑफ बॅम्बू ताचे आसूं येता. तो पांटलो ते पांटले. आतां जर पांटलो ल्हान आसा ताका आमी कोंकणीन म्हणटा पांटली. पूण पांटली उतर वापरलें जाल्यार ती पांटली. तें पळय कितें बरयलां पांटले उपरांत ब्रॅकेटीन एफ बरयलां. एफ म्हणजे फेमिनीन, एम म्हणजे मॅस्क्युलीन आनी एन म्हणजे न्यूटर. हाची खबर हांवें तुमकां हाच्या आदीं सांगल्या पूण फकत आज परत उडास करून दिवंक परत्यान सांगता. पांटली. ती पांटली. आनी खूब असल्यार त्यो पांटल्यो. स्मॉल बास्केट. आतां ती पांटली म्हणचे परस आनेक उतर ताका आसा पांटुलो. तो पांटुलो. ती पांटली पूण तो पांटुलो आनी ताचें बहुवचन ते पांटुले. अर्थ एकूच. स्मॉल बास्केट स्मॉल बास्केट. पांटली आनी पांटुलो उतरां जरी दोन वेगळीं अर्थ एकूच स्मॉल बास्केट. फुडें. आतां जेन्ना पांटलो व्हडलो आसता ताका आमी कोंकणीन म्हणटा पांटलें. पांटलें उतर वापरलें जाल्यार तें पांटलें. तो न्हय, ती न्हय, तें पांटलें आनी ताचें बहुवचन जाता पांटलीं. पांटलीं. सॉरी चुकलें म्हजें. तें पांटें, ती पांटीं. पांटली न्हय, ती पांटीं. लार्ज अँड ब्रॉड बास्केट. ते व्हडले आसता आनी अशें रूंद आसता म्हणजे तातूंत बरी भाजी बी सारकें दवरपाक बरें पडटा. ताका आनीक उतर आसा कोंकणीन. चड करून साश्टीन तें उतर वापरता. दालें. तें दालें. ताचें बहुवचन तीं दालीं. तोच ब्रॉड बास्केट. रूंद अशें आसता. आतां भाजी विविध प्रकारांनी दिता. पयशांच्या कोंतान 100 कितले भेंडे, 5 भेंडे अशें आसता. पूण कांय भाजयो आसा त्यो जोखून विकता. आतां जोखपाक आमकां जाय न्ही कितें तरी. ताका आमी कोंकणीन म्हणटा तागडी. ती तागडी आनी त्यो तागड्यो. पेर ऑफ स्केल्स. आतां तागडी आतां चडशी ही डिजिटल तागडी आतां वापरतात. आमची आदी ती पारंपारीक ट्रेडिशनल ताका 2 अशे स्केल आसताले आनी एकान वजन घालताले, ती आतां चडशी कोण वापरूंक वचना. डिजिटल आसा, कित्याक थंयच तुका कळटा बाबा वजन कितलें जालें, तुका वाचूंक येता, पयशे कितले जाले तें दिसता. देखून चडशी आतां जी तागडी आसा ती डिजिटल जाता. मागीर कोंकणींत आमचे कडेन आनी एक उतर आसा, पाले भाजी. आतां पाले भाजी उतर वापरल्यार ती पाले भाजी आनी ताचें बहुवचन पाले भाजयो. आतां पाले भाजी म्हणजे कितें? ती फकत पानांची भाजी आसता, लिफी वेजिटेबल. देखीक तांबडी भाजी, वाळची भाजी, मेथी भाजी, शापू भाजी, असल्यो भाजयो आसात. ताका आमी एक उतर आसा तें पाले भाजी, लिफी वेजिटेबल. मागीर जो लोक फकत भाजयेचें जेवण घेता, मांस खायना, मासली खायना, कांय दीस असोय लोक आसा. सोबारचो, ब्रेस्तारचो थोडो आमचो लोक हें खायना, मांस खायना, नुस्तेंय खायना. आतां तसल्या जेवण जेवतल्यांक आमी म्हणटा शिवराक जेवपी. आतां शिवराक जेवपी पळया, ताजें ग्रामॅटिकल जेंडर पळया ब्रॅकेटीन. तें मॅस्क्युलीन आसूं येता, तें फॅमिनीन आसूं येता, वा तें न्यूटर आसूं येता. कित्याक दादले आसा तर जाल्यार आमी म्हणटा तो शिवराक जेवपी. अस्तुरी जाल्यार आमी म्हणटा ती शिवराक जेवपी. आनी एक ल्हान चेडूं आसा, आमी ताका म्हणटा तें शिवराक जेवपी. म्हणजे वेजिटेरियन असो ताजो अर्थ जाता. आनी शिवराक जेवण आसा, आमची हिंदू भाव भयणी शिवराक जेवतात, ताका आज म्हणटा आज आमगेर शिवराक. आज आमगेर शिवराक स्पेलिंग कितें? XIVRAK. आज आमगेर शिवराक म्हणजे आज आमगेर मांस ना, मासली ना, तांतयां ना, कांय ना, फकत भाजयेचें जेवण. त्या जेवणाक म्हणटात शिवराक जेवण. बरें, फुडें चुंबळ. ती चुंबळ आनी ताचें बहुवचन त्यो चुंबळी. चुंबळी म्हणजे कितें? आतां जेन्ना भाजयेचो पांटलो म्हणा, फळांचो पांटलो म्हणा, कसलेंय वजें माथ्यार व्हरतना माथ्यार दवरपाक एक लुकटाचो असो वाडकुळ्यान एक आकार करतात आनी ते माथ्यार दवरतात. सर्क्युलर कुशन ऑन हेड. ताका लागून माथें दुखाना, व्हरपाक बरें पडटा. ताका आमी म्हणटा चुंबळ. काय बरें उतर न्ही कोंकणीन. इंग्लिशीन पळया ताका उतर ना. अशें कितें सांगचें पडटा, सर्क्युलर कुशन ऑन हेड. इतलें सांगच्या परस कोंकणीन एकच उतर आसा पळया, चुंबळ. चुंबळ म्हणजे कोंकणी मनशाक समजता बाबा चुंबळ आमी ती माथ्यार दवरता आनी मागीर माथ्याचेर भरो घेता, वजन घेता, वजें घेता, कितें घेता अशें. ती चुंबळ, त्यो चुंबळी. आनी जेन्ना भाजी घेवपाक मनीस येता, भाजीच घेवपाक अशें न्ही, खंयचीय वस्त बाजारांत ते विकता, शॉपांनी विकता पसऱ्यार, ते घेवंक जो मनीस येता ताका आमी म्हणटा गिरायक. तो गिरायक. आनी ताचें बहुवचन जाता ते गिरायक, कस्टमर. पूण गिरायक ह्या उतराक कांय जाण आनी एक जेंडर लिंग वापरतात. ते तो गिरायक म्हणजे सुवातेर तें गिरायक म्हणटात. जर तें गिरायक उतर वापरलें, ताचें प्लुरल कितें जाता पळया, हें लक्षांत घेया. तें गिरायक जर तुमी म्हणटा तर ताचें बहुवचन तीं गिरायकां. तो गिरायक म्हणलें तर ताचें प्लुरल तेंच, तो गिरायक तें गिरायक. तसो तो माड तें माड तशेंच उरता. पूण तें गिरायक म्हणलें तर गिरायकां जाता. जशें तें घर तीं घरां. हें गिरायक घर ह्या पॅटर्नान पडटा. मागीर जेन्ना विकतात, भाजये बी आतां विकतात न्ही, भाजीच न्ही, कसली वस्त विकतात ताका आमी कोंकणीन म्हणटा विक्रो. तो विक्रो म्हणजे सेल. आनी ताका प्लुरल ना, एक वचनच हें उतर आमी वापरता. आज विक्रो बरो जालो, हाका नारलाक बरो विक्रो आसा अशें आमी कोंकणीन म्हणटा. ताका आनी एक उतर आसा विक्री. पूण विक्री उतर वापरलें ती विक्री आनी ताकाय प्लुरल ना, अर्थ तोच. विक्रो आनी विक्री both meaning is the same, sale. But vikro is of masculine gender and vikri is of feminine gender. हें लक्षांत घेवंक जाय. मागीर किरकोळ विक्री म्हणटा आमी कोंकणीन, ती किरकोळ विक्री, रिटेल सेल, ताका प्लुरल ना, किरकोळ म्हणजे रिटेल, आनी ताका आमी अनेक उतर घालता, कंपाउंड वर्ड, किरकोळ विक्री म्हणजे रिटेल सेल. आतां होलसेल हाका कशें म्हणुया कोंकणीन, ताका आमी म्हणटा ठोक विक्री. ठोक विक्री स्पेलिंग पळया, THOKVIKRI, ठोक विक्री, ताका प्लुरल ना, होलसेल. अशें आमी आज भाजी आनी भाजयेक संबंद जाल्लीं कांय उतरां आसात ती सगळीं आमी शिकल्या. थोडीं उतरां तुमकां कडेन नवींच आसतलीं, देखीक किरकोळ विक्री वा ठोक विक्री वा विक्रो असलीं उतरां नवीं आसतलीं. अशीं नवीं एक एक उतरां आमी शिकल्यार आमची कोंकणी भास सुदारता. आमकां मागीर तें कोंकणींतल्यानच सांगपाक जाता, मागीर तें आमी गरजे भायर इंग्लिशीन सांगची गरज ना. आतां सगळें जर आमी इंग्लिशीन सांगूंक लागल्यार मागीर कोंकणी भास खंय उरली. ही कोंकणी भास कित्याक आमी शिकता, कित्याक बाबा आमचे भाशेन उतरां आसात, ती आमी शिकुया. जितली आमी ती उतरां शिकता तितली ती उतरां आमकां वापरूंक मेळटात, आनी जितली आमी उतरां वापरता तितली आमची कोंकणी भास सुदारता न्ही. आनी ह्याच उद्देशान ही सांकळ आमी सुरू केल्ली आसा, आनी ह्याच उद्देशान तुमी ही सांकळ पळयतात न्ही. म्हणटच आज आमी भाजयेक संबंद जाल्लीं उतरां शिकल्या, आनी फुडल्या पाठांत आमी भाजयेचीं नांवां शिकूंक आसात. ते मेरेन देव बरें करूं.
पवित्र सुसाचे कुरिये निवळ आमकां आमच्या देवा आमच्या दुस्मानांतले बापाचे पुत्राचे आनी पवित्र आत्म्याचे नांवी आमेन. आमच्या बापा स्वर्गीच्या तुजें नांव पवित्र जावं, तुजें राज आमकां येवं, तुजी कशी स्वर्गार जाता तशी संवसारांत जावं.
आमचो दिसपटो रायज आयज आमकां दी, आनी आमी आमचे चुकलेल्यांक बक्षिता, तशी आमची पातकां बोगोस, आनी आमकां ताळमेक पडोवन दिवं नाका, पूण वायटांतलीं आमकां निवार.
नमान मरे कुटबेन बोलले सर्वेस्पोर तुजे थंय आसा, उस्त्र्यामध्ये तू सोदोव आनी सोदोव तुजो पूत जेजू
बागी मारे देवाचे माये आमच्या खातीर नेली कर आता आनी आमच्या मरणाच्या वेळार आमेन.
सोतमंता देवा सोर्गोद्गार बापा स्वर्गार आनी पृथ्वीच्या असणारा आनी जेजू क्रिस्ता ताच्या एकल्याच पुता आमच्या सुम्या तो पवित्र आत्म्या वरवीं गर्भ सांबाळलो आंकवार मरे तांय जल्मलो कोस पिलाताका ताणें कोस सोंसले ताका क्रुसार चडलो तो मेलो आनी ताका इंगी पिलो तो मेल्या मदें देंवलो तिसऱ्या दिसा मेलेल्यांतलो जिवन जालो स्वर्गार चडलो स्वर्गोद्गार देवा बापाच्या उजव्याक बसला थंय तां जिव्यांक आनी मेल्यांची मनसुबी करून घेतलो. सतमानता पवित्र आत्म्या कातोलीक पवित्र सभेक भक्तांचो एकठार पातकाचें भोगसणें कुडीचें जिवनपण सासणाचें जिवीत आमेन. सासणाच्या बापा तुज्या मोगाच्या पुता आमच्या दुनिया जेजू क्रिस्ताची कूड आनी रगत आत्मो आनी देवपण आमच्या आनी आख्या संवसाराच्या पातकांच्या फारीकपणा खातीर हांव तुका भेटयतां. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. सासणाच्या बापा तुज्या मोगाच्या पुता आमच्या दुनिया जेजू क्रिस्ताची कूड आनी रगत आत्मो आनी देवपण आमच्या आनी आख्या संवसाराच्या पातकांच्या फारीकपणा खातीर हांव तुका भेटयतां. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. सासणाच्या बापा तुज्या मोगाच्या पुता आमच्या दुनिया जेजू क्रिस्ताची कूड आनी रगत आत्मो आनी देवपण आमच्या आनी आख्या संवसाराच्या पातकांच्या फारीकपणा खातीर हांव तुका भेटयतां. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संवसाराची काकूट कर. जेजूच्या बोधकेस कश्टां खातीर आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
सासणाच्या बापा तुझ्या मोगाच्या पुत्रा आमच्या दुनिया जेजू क्रिस्ताची कूड आनी रगत आत्मा आनी देवपण आमच्या आनी आख्या संसाराच्या पातकाच्या फारीकपणा खातीर हांव तुका भेटयतां.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
सासणाच्या बापा
तुझ्या मोगाच्या पुता आमच्या दुनिया जेजू क्रिस्ताची कूड आनी रगत आत्मा आनी देवपण आमच्या आनी आख्या संसाराच्या पातकाच्या फारीकपणा खातीर हांव तुका भेटयतां. जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेजूच्या बोधके स्कोश्टां खातीर
आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
पवित्र देवा पवित्र स्वर्गदेवा पवित्र अमर देवा आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर. पवित्र देवा पवित्र स्वर्गदेवा पवित्र अमर देवा आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर. पवित्र देवा पवित्र स्वर्गदेवा पवित्र अमर देवा आमची आनी सगळ्या संसाराची काकूट कोर.
जेवण रुचो ना तानेन ताळो हो सुकता कांयच एकटियोक दिसोना दुनिया दुनिया कसले म्हजेर हें दूख आयलें रातचो न्हिदूंक वेता पूण म्हाका न्हिदूच पडना फुगार जावन हांव रडटा तें म्हजेंच कशें सावरोना
रिया अशें सुइसायड करूंक तूं कित्याक चिंता?
तूं म्हाका विचारूंक कोण?
रोगताच्या नात्यान हांव तुजो कोणूय जायत पूण रिया भावूच म्हणून तुका विचारता जाला तरी कितें?
म्हाका नाका तुजें कांयच आयकोंक नाका म्हाका हो जीव
असो जीव जायत्या तरणाट्यांक नाका कसो दिसता पूण रिया तुका विचारता जाला तरी कितें म्हूण?
तूं जाणा जावन कितें करतलो? म्हजें प्रोस सोडयतलो? म्हाका भोगता ती दूख सोंपयतलो? सांग ओगी कित्याक आसा?
म्हाका तुजें दूख सोजमता रिया पूण
पूण आनी कांय ना म्हाका नाका हो जीव
रिया हांव तुका कितें सांगता तें आयक उपरांत तुका जाय तें कर चारूच तरणाट्यांची खबर तुका सांगता जिमी टिना हेनरी आनी सीमा जिमी शिकपांत खूब हुशार आसलो फुटबॉल खेळोंक खूब खूब हुशार आवय बापायचो एकलोच चड उपूर बायचो पूण इतलो हुशार आसून कितें म्हणून ताणें केलें?
हांव तो जिमी मेलोलो जिमी म्हाका म्हजे व्हंकलेन सोडलो म्हूण हांवें हांगा सुइसायड केली म्हज्या मरणा फाटल्यान म्हजे आवयचेर खूब व्हडलो धोपको बसलो तिका म्हजें मरण मानून घेवंक जालें ना म्हजो बापूय हार्ट अटॅक येवन सोंपलो ताचो एकलोच पूत हांव आपुरबायेन मोग दिवन ताणें म्हाका वाडयलो बरें शिकोवपूय दिल्लें ताणें म्हज्या मरणा फाटल्यान म्हजी फामील नाच जाली चूक केली हांवें व्हडली चूक केल्ली